Welcome back, y'all. We are back for another division preview. Last but not least, it's the NFC East. Y'all know we got to bring it extra for the NFC East because that's where the squad lies, the New York Giants. So we got a man cave in the building. We got Coach Ed Gladney from Coach Ed's Amazing World of Sports. And of course, the one and only Big Pat Sports Talk, man. We're going to break it all down NFC East style. Let's go. Y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe for the Aboriginal Sports Network. Intro time, baby. Let's do it.
TK, the Raisin Man.
All right. We are back, y'all. And we're going to set this NFC East thing off with the champs of the division. That's the Philadelphia Eagles, the champs of the NFL. Philly winning it all. You see them up there on the screen. Yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow personally, but they did do their job. They handled their business, beating the Kansas City Chiefs, coming out with a 14-3 record last year for the Philadelphia Eagles. BetMGM got them at 11.5 this year. 4th overall strength of schedule. But with Philly, it's one of those things where, are you comfortable now? You know, are you satisfied? Are you full? Because some teams, they win and then they kind of, all right, we got ours. We good now. And you kind of, you know, you don't have as much focus going into the next year. And to be honest, we're going to break it all down, but I think focus is probably the only thing that can get in this team's way from repeating, man. They still got a pretty dang on good squad. But we want to talk about the past before we head into the future. So we got to take a look at last year and take a look at what they did. Coach going to break down the stats. Pat going to come in. And we got our special guest, Man Cave, going to give his thoughts on the Eagles season last year. Let's get it, man. Cave.
Yo.
Yeah, Cave up there. Cave. I was about to say, Cave, you up, man?
Hey, I'm up, man. Yeah, man. It hurts me to say it, man, but the Philadelphia Eagles, man, the Super Bowl champions, NFC East champions, man. I hate the Eagles, man, because like I said, I used to live out that way and stuff like that as a Giants fan in Eagles country, man, but you got to give respect where respect is due, man. They won the Super Bowl. And they won it with one of the former players that we had on our team, man. They wanted the engine on their team from last year was Saquon Barkley, who helped deliver them another Lombardi trophy. Because without Saquon, I don't think they would have won that Super Bowl. But he was the deciding factor that got him over the hump, man. You know, so hats off to them. Like I said, they had a good season, great season, like I said. But we'll see how they do this year, man. It's going to be a different season, different year and stuff like that. we'll see how Jalen Hurts, what he's going to do now. Like I said, he has all the weapons like he had last year. Let's see if he can continue to grow and stuff like that. I don't care too much for Jalen Hurts like that, but he won a Super Bowl. That's all, so I got to tip my hat off, So until somebody beat him and dethrone him, hey, got to give props to the Eagles and stuff like that. And coming into this year, we'll see, man. Like NYG said, will they be comfortable? Will they be satisfied, or are they going to be even more hungry to see if they're going to come back and claim their, make it a repeat champion and stuff like that? Because once you win one, sometimes you get a little bit greedy. And hey, we'll see if they're going to be greedy or if they're going to be satisfied and their belly's going to be full. We'll see how much hunger they have this year, So, and last year they didn't have too much injuries and stuff like that. So we'll see, because injuries is part of the game and stuff like that. So the most healthiest teams always win the Super Bowl, most likely win the Super Bowl. So we'll see how they play this year, man. But it should be a good season this year for the other teams in the division. But hats off to the Eagles. Like I said, we'll see what they do.
Yeah. Cave, I'm with you, man. The Eagles last year, they went, they really just tore through the league, man. Once they got hip to what was going on, Jalen Hurts had his struggles earlier in the season, but once he got those struggles down and they gave that ball to Saquon Barkley, man, they ran through the NFL. It wasn't even close, man. The Eagles was super dominant, and we'll see what they do this upcoming season. Like Man Cave says, can they repeat? Can Jalen Hurts go out there and play Jalen Hurts football? Just drive the car. Don't do anything crazy. Just drive the car. Let Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, that offensive line and that defense hold it down for you, man. But coach, man, what did they do last year, man, to prove why they were so dominant last year?
All right, thanks, Pat. When you sit here and you take a look at the numbers, you see why they're one of the top teams offensively and defensively. In terms of rankings for points scored, they were 7th. In overall yardage, they were 8th. Now, passing yards, they were 29th, but that's because of their run game. Pass touchdowns, they were 12th. Pass interceptions, they were 3rd. They're not throwing the ball that much, which is why it's so low. Rush yards, they were 2nd. Rush touchdowns, they were also 2nd. So they were very effective and a very efficient rushing attack. Defensively, they were 2nd in points scored. They were number 1 in yards allowed, number 1 in pass yards, 6th in pass touchdowns, 12th in interceptions, 10th in rush yards, and number 2 in rush touchdowns. So they did not allow teams to score touchdowns, and they controlled the narrative, especially in the red zone. So there you go, Pat. That's what the numbers tell you. Back to you.
Yeah, it was a pretty dominant year for the Eagles, obviously. But when you win, you lose. And you have some losses, key losses, that is, man. And we're going to take a look at who won't be playing for Philadelphia no more. Well, at least not this year. Couple ones I got highlighted. Mekhi Becton, I think, a big loss on the offensive line. He had a resurging season last year, of course. Considered a bust over there with the Jets. Able to get right in Philadelphia. Well, a lot of offensive linemen get right in Philadelphia. Who knew? But Josh Sweat gone. Bryce Huff gone on a couple edge rushers. Couple guys in the backfield. Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson traded to the Texans. But the key loss for me is Mr. Brandon Graham, and he retired. And the reason that is because when you lose leadership in that locker room with a team like Philadelphia, I think that is what can ultimately derail them. And I truly believe that, because the talent on this team is undeniable. As much as I personally don't like them, you cannot deny the talent. But Brandon Graham in that locker room and being a leader on that defense is going to be a huge loss, especially when you got younger players behind coming up trying to take that spot. But who y'all got as a key loss for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, me personally, man, I'm going to be talking about another guy that's down there on that defensive line. That's Milton Williams, man. Milton Williams did a whole lot for this team last year, and it proves that the contract that he got from the New England Patriots, one of the, I think, the top defensive tackle being paid in the league right now. Milton Williams was a force for those guys last year, man. He stuffed the run, did good in pass rush, and I think he was just a guy that everybody looked up to, even Jalen Carter and the other guy they got from Georgia. I think they looked up to him, and he did what he did, and he's one of the main reasons why they went to the Super Bowl. But Milton Williams is my guy. But Cave, who you got as your guy, bro?
For me, I'm gonna agree with both of you guys. I'm gonna go with Milton Williams. That's a big loss because he's a younger guy. You know, that's another one of the good stud defensive players that they had. That's going to be a key loss for them. And also, if you look at the last couple of years, they don't lost Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham that you said. So that's three. They've voided three leadership talent right there. That's really going to take them down. Now it's going to be on these kids now. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. They're going to have to step up and see can they take over the mantle. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, Brandon Graham and Milton Williams, big losses for the Eagles, man. Like I said, on that defensive line, we're going to see how this defense going to play this year for the Eagles and stuff like that, see how these guys respond.
Well, for me, the key loss is actually going to be Mekhi Becton. All right, because that's an offensive lineman. You guys know how I am, especially with the trenches. He came over there after not performing well with the Jets, and he performed well with the Eagles. They moved him inside to guard, and with his size alone on the inside, it made it hard for defensive linemen to get around him. And then once he got his hands on the defensive linemen, he could just move them wherever he wanted to. He always had help on either side of him, so it wasn't like he had to stand. He was at the tackle spot, and he had to worry about a speed rusher. He could handle everything on the inside, which afforded him the opportunity to get the big money. So, what are you going to do to replace him on the inside going forward? So that's my key loss.
Yeah, I agree with all you guys. Milton Williams, of course, going to the Patriots. Edge rushers too, man. Josh Sweat, Bryce Huff, nothing to sneeze at, man. Guys, Darius Slay. The Eagles are losing guys that's been there for a while, and so they're really turning over the roster and kind of just right before people's eyes, without losing a beat, so to speak. But let's see who they picked up, man. Yeah, of course. Re-signing Saquon Barkley had to be one of the top things on their list. You see, re-signing a lot of their players, you keeping your own. Of course, you got Lane Johnson, Zach Bond, Cam Jurgens. But they picked up a key piece from a division rival, and that is Azeez Ojulari. Remember, I just talked about Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat leaving and Bryce Huff as well. They got Azeez, snatched him right off the New York Giants. Thank you very much. And they can plug and play him in there to be a situational pass rusher, man. I think that is one of the key additions here as far as an actual addition, because a lot of what they did was guys that they just re-signed that they needed to re-sign, because you see what they lost. But Pat, Cave, Coach, who stands out to you, man? Who's going to make a difference on this Eagles team this year out of these key additions? Talk to me.
My guy is not exactly a addition. It's just a retain. Zach Bond. Man, that dude was flying all over the field last year. They switched him from edge to the middle linebacker, and that was probably the best thing that happened to his career, man. Like, he was flying around last year. He was making tackles. He was making interceptions. He was filling the hole. He was blitzing. Like, he was doing everything for this team on this defense, man. And I think he was a key to that defense last year, the reason why they were so good. And they retained him, gave him his money, and now they got a beast at every single layer of that defense, man. This team is loaded, bro. And Zach Bond, and he's a captain. So Zach Bond's my guy, man. But Man Cave, who you like on these key additions, man?
For me, I think the key addition for me, I want to see what Kenyon Green is going to do. If he's going to be in there to replace Mekhi Becton, see if he can have the same effect. I think he came over from the Chargers, I believe, Kenyon Green and stuff like that. So I want to see how he's going to fit in with the Eagles. The Eagles have the best, well, probably the number one offensive coach in football, Jeff Stoutland, you know what I'm saying? So he creates magic over there. So he's going to go over there. Let's see if he can, help that Eagles offensive line continue to go. And as far as Azeez Ojulari, I read today in the paper, he might be slipping down the depth chart behind Josh Uche. So I don't know how that's going to turn out for him over there in Philadelphia. I don't even know if he's going to make the squad or if if he's going to be a key piece for them. But, the stranger things have happened, injuries and things happen. He could slide back in there to the top. But for me, I think it'd be Kenyon Green, see how he does as, on that offensive line for the Eagles, to see if he can replace Mekhi Becton.
Well, there you go. That's who I also had is Kenyon Green, as a possible replacement to Becton. He has good size, strength. He's athletic. Now, he had his issues in Houston. Sounds familiar with Becton. Just not a position change, but, when he's in proper position, he's able to lock on to any defender. So, there are things that he does need to work on, but he's in the right situation, get coached up properly, with the right coach. You'll even have Kelsey over there tapping in from time to time to helping him. So, I'm with Cave in terms of Kenyon Green being the addition that I'm looking at.
All right, man. I agree though. Kenyon Green. I like Kenyon Green coming out of college. Wanted the Giants to take him. They didn't. But now he's on the Eagles. So now you got to deal with him. But let's see how they did in the draft. I mean, as if a loaded team couldn't get better and add more talent. Good googly moogly. They had a draft, folks. They had a pretty good draft. Jahai Campbell, another linebacker out of Alabama. I mean, you get a safety, that you can coach up to, take Gardner Johnson's spot. But my guy, Ty Robinson, D-tackle out of Nebraska. You see it right there on the screen, man. That's the guy for me, man. We talked to him at the Senior Bowl. This kid, I'm telling you, we talked about them losing, some of the defensive players on that front line. Ty Robinson, getting Ty Robinson here, it's going to be another one of them dogs in the waiting, man. This kid can play. Mac McWilliams, kid out of UFC, cornerback, one of my underrated prospects in the draft, man. He's going to be a solid slot corner for the Eagles for years to come. And I mean, they get more guys from Georgia. Get your boy Kyle McCord from Syracuse. Antoine Powell Ryland, 6th round out of Virginia Tech. That might be a steal too. But who y'all got, man, for this Eagles? I mean, this pisses me off, man. To be honest with y'all, man. Good God, man. Who y'all got? Which one of these guys y'all that y'all got as y'all's favorite pick, or do you think it's gonna make the biggest impact on the team going into the 2025 season? Talk to me.
Yo, my guy's gonna be Jahai Campbell, man, the linebacker from Alabama. He gets to play alongside Zach Bond, two guys that could fly over the middle of the field and make plays, man. This Eagles team know what they're doing, man. They've been doing this for the past 5 to 6 years, man. They just stack talent. And with this guy, Jahai Campbell and Zach Bond flying all over the middle of the field, getting busy out there, and then they got the pass rush. When you got a pass rush, when Azeez Ojulari is a threat not to make the roster, that is vicious. Then you got these two young guys just flying all over the field. Then you got the DBs in the backfield. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. The safety's getting busy, man. Yeah, but get back to the subject. Jahai Campbell, man, that's my guy. Man, Cave, who you like with during that draft? Because it's hard not to like everybody on that draft list. But who you like, man? Cave?
I tell you, man, that draft. Look at the Eagles draft again, man. Look at all them players they drafted. But the one guy that stands out to me, man, is the safety out of Texas, Andrew Makuba. If anybody watch, I did a couple of Texas games last year, man, and that guy was all over the place, making plays, interceptions, tackles, whatever you name it. He was a former Clemson player, went over to Texas, and like I said, he's a playmaker, man. As if the Eagles don't already have enough playmakers to add to that backfield that they did last year in the draft with Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, now to get Makuba and stuff like that. So they quietly filling out that back half of that roster, man. And these guys just keep on doing it. But when you look at this draft, here it goes again. Eagles, 3 offensive linemen in the draft again. So Jeff Stoutland's going to have more players to work with and more players to work with and stuff like that. And they're just going to keep that offensive line going. But Andrew Makuba, that guy is all over the place. That's my guy, man. And like I said, great pick for the Eagles and stuff like that. But we'll have to see him in the division too. But, Coach, who do you got?
Thanks a lot, Cave. I originally was going to say Antoine Ryland. I did a breakdown on him coming out of VTech. Elite pass rusher. But I'm going outside the box. And I'm going to give you an unpopular opinion. And it's a UDFA out of Rutgers. You guys have the video up?
We got you.
He's right now working with Jason Kelsey. And you see, first of all, size and the ability to move. Coming into Rutgers, he was over 400 pounds and got down to roughly about 340. So he's a hard worker. He's committed to his craft. And as you see right here, they're giving him help with Kelsey working with him. So he's the one, and all indications that I've heard from Eagles fans is they're very pleased and they're hearing good things about him coming out of camp. So don't be surprised if he makes the roster and plays for the Philadelphia Eagles going forward. I hate it, but he's a Scarlet Knight, and I love what he brought to the table for Rutgers Nation. And unfortunately, we're going to be on the other side to see what he brings to the table. Size, dedication, hard work, as well as athletic ability. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he's a Jersey boy out of Trenton, so he's ready to get grimy with it. But that's all I have. Back to you, NYG.
Shout out to Trenton, New Jersey. Man, let's go. Speaking of the roster, look, man. Like I said, it's going to take a lot for this team not to be good. When you look at this roster, just look at the talent on the offensive line. Look at the backups. Don't even look at the starters. When you look at the Eagles, just look at some of the backups they got on a offensive and defensive line. Skill position wise, they're good, especially on offense. Back end of the defense is solid as well. But they are missing some veterans. Some young guys may have to step up a little bit. Looking at you, Ringo. But I don't know, man. To me, it's just gonna come down. It might just come down to, guess what? Coaching. Might come down to coaching. So we're gonna add a little wrinkle in our little preview today, since we got Cave, Coach, Pat in the building, as well as myself. Y'all hit that like button. We're going to break down this roster. I want offense, I want defense, but I also want coaching, because coaching is going to be key, especially in the NFC East. So I'm going to bring the fellas in. Cave, Can you get the offense, Pat? Can you handle the defense? And coach, it's only right if you do the coaching. Take it away, fellas.
Great. Yeah, as far as the offense, man, we all know the Eagles, what they're going to come out the offense. To me, they're a run-first team. Then they're going to pass the ball. So that's going to be Saquon Barkley. It's going to be the bell cow again, the engine behind the offense. And then, you got, of course, the All-Pro, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, the wide receivers, is the 1 and 2. And then the tight end, Dallas Goedert, who I'm surprised he's still here because I know he was in trade rumors and stuff like that. But when he's healthy and he is playing, he is one of their key players. Dallas Goedert always gets them out of them third down conversions and things like that. He keeps them chains moving, And then in the offseason, they went out and got, A.J. Dillon to fill in for Saquon, for those, the tush push. So the tush push is going to be even more effective, even more this year. They're going to come in with their jumbo package. And then you got the offensive lineman as well, the number 1 offensive line in football with Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, who false starts on every play but don't get called, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, and Lane Johnson, man. So they come back with the offense, man. Like I said, the offense is going to be it's going to be hard again to defend, but if you can stop that run, that's the first and foremost. You got to stop that run on the Eagles. You can stop the run and make them pass the ball. You might have a better chance of them throwing the ball, try to get some interceptions. But, if you don't get it, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith will be in the end zone for touchdowns and stuff like that. So you got to get to the quarterback. And if things break down, Jalen Hurts can use his legs and use his wheels to get around. So that's going to be a tough offense to stop, man. So that'll be their theme again this year, man. The offensive side of the ball is going to move this team, man, because that's where they got more veterans on that side of the ball, on the offensive side. So I'll turn it over to Pat and see what he sees on the defensive side.
Yeah, man, this defense, defense kind of tough too, man. You got a Jomo, George Davis, Jalen Carter, Nola Smith, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean with Jahai Campbell backing them up, with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. backing them up. Man, this is crazy. Kelly Ringo is the only weakness I see on this defense, and guess what? You got Sidney Brown and Blankenship flying around back there with Jalen McCullum behind them, and he was actually decent too. Then you got Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Man, listen, this team is stacked. Good Lord, what you gonna do with this team, man? They can run the ball on you, so that means they can control the clock and get you off the field. You can get caught in a whirlwind with this team, offensively and defensively. It's not too much you can say. Only way you're going to be able to attack these guys if you can run the ball, try to get to the edge, and attack people like Nolan Smith on that edge. But if Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean and Jahai Campbell are as advertised, they're going to be flying right behind them. So it's going to be tough, man. But the only thing I can see weakness is maybe the coaching. So, coach, talk to him. What about the coaching, man?
When you sit down and you think about Nick Sirianni, people have complained about him. A lot of Eagles fans early on wanted him gone. Sounds very familiar to Giants fans with Tom Coughlin when you really think about it. And even if you want to go back to Bill Parcells when he first came on, having a losing season, in 5 years he's just a tick under 10 wins per game. Now, during the Super Bowl era, only 2 other coaches have a better winning percentage than him: John Madden and Vince Lombardi. Think about that. Only 2. He's at a 0.706, while Madden is at a 0.759, and Lombardi's at a 0.738. So, with all the coaches that have been through the NFL, that's amazing in itself right there. So that talks to him being an efficient and an effective leader. And you have Vic Fangio as your defensive coordinator, veteran who's been in the NFL almost 40 years in itself. Now, Kevin Patullo is new to the game as an offensive coordinator, but he was the associate head coach the last 2 years. He was also the passing game coordinator from 2021 up until 2023. So he's familiar with what's going on in that organization. So now it's going to be on him. But when you have talent like that, it's really not hard to do. Just make sure you put them in the right position to do what they need to do. So as a coaching staff, they're elite. You have to respect what they have as a coaching staff, starting with Nick Sirianni. So, but that's all I have to say. Turning it back over to you, NYG.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta respect Nick Sirianni. I mean, going to 2 Super Bowls and winning one. I mean, I don't like him, his little smug self, but you have to give what respect is due. And Vic Fangio, one of the top defensive coordinators in the game, I'm right there with you, Coach. We'll see what the new offensive coordinator comes up with. But Eagles coming off the Super Bowl, y'all. They're getting 11.5. They're gonna earn it. They're gonna earn it. You know, I mean, they're gonna earn it. I think they have their toughest stretch might be the back end, that week 10 to 18 stretch right there. I mean, you got Green Bay in there, you got Detroit, you know, Chicago, Dallas, the Chargers. You know, they can play Buffalo, Washington twice. So 11.5 though. 11.5 means this team has to win 12 games. 12 games. Looking at this schedule, the thing with the Eagles though is, as tough as the NFC East is, they're the best team of that division. So the schedule, as long as they can handle division opponents like the Giants and Cowboys, they should be good to go. But what y'all think? 11.5? Is it what y'all thinking? Y'all think the Eagles gonna take a little step back, or are they gonna be right there again on the over? Talk to me.
Over. I think they get at least 12. I think they beat the Cowboys twice. I think they beat us twice, and I think they beat Washington at least once. So if you're going 5-1 in your division, they can beat Green Bay. Detroit might surprise them. They can beat Chicago. I would say this: the Chargers might surprise them if they could get that running game going. Buffalo, I think Buffalo can get them too. But that's only 4 losses right there. Who's the other team? Who's the other 2 teams that can stop them from going under?
On Tampa Bay though.
They gonna get Tampa Bay, man. They gonna get Tampa Bay.
Bay is a tough team. And
they
gonna
get Tampa
Kansas
Bay
City and the Rams in the beginning of the season too. But
yeah, they're gonna get Kansas City again, because Kansas City is not ready for that run type game against them. You'll see. And the Rams, I think they get the Rams, and I think they get Denver too, because Denver is built like them, but the Eagles do it better.
I think they play the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers may surprise them later on in the season on a Monday night, but I don't see them losing more than 5 games. I got them over at 12.
what you got, Cave? Over or under? 11.5 for the Eagles.
I think, they've been averaging like 13 wins for the last like 5 or 6 seasons, man. So yeah, I got them with the over and stuff like that. The only thing that's going to stop that is if they get some injuries, key injuries and stuff like that. You know, that's the only thing. But looking at that schedule, it's a tough schedule. But like I said, they're a good team. They better than just about everybody. So they'll be able to get that 12 win. You know, if not, they'll get 11 wins. But hey, that's close enough to 12. I can't see a scenario where they go like 8-9 wins for the season and that's it. You know, like I said, unless something just go off the rails and injuries happen, they decimate it. But yeah, I could see that, man. Hey, they got some tough games. Green Bay, Detroit. That's going to be a tough game with Green Bay and Detroit. You know, right there. Like you said, the back end of the schedule is going to be the toughest part of their schedule. The front end is not so much with Kansas City early on, Kansas City and the Rams. But they'll be able to, but that back end of the schedule, that's when things start happening. So we'll see. But yeah, I got them over 12 with 12 wins.
Coach, what you thinking? 11.5.
The question is, are they hungry enough to go for Miami? That's going to be the question. Are they hungry enough? Because they have the talent. We've just broken it down. So they have the ability and the talent. So are they going to try and push for that? That's going to be the first question. Because you guys made an excellent point on where you can get their losses. I think they're going to be over. So the question right now I'm asking myself is this team legitimately going to try to say that they're one of the elite and say that they're pushing for what the Miami Dolphins did? Because there was one other team that made it to the Super Bowl in that category, but we saw what happened. So right now the question is, because they can beat every team on their schedule. There are teams that they can lose to. There are teams they can lose to. I'm not going to say it. Kansas City, yes, they can, but I'm like Pat. I don't think they're ready for it. Los Angeles is going to be confident because they played them tough in the snow during the playoffs, so they're going to say we can play with them. Tampa Bay they're sneaky good, but they're also a team that, you know what, Philly, if they're focused and they have their mind right, they should be able to handle them. I mean, again, even Detroit, their toughest games though are, to me, in a sense, are all on the road, and they're more so AFC teams. Because you can look at Kansas City, Buffalo, the Chargers. To me, those are the most tough. Now, I'm not saying the division games aren't tough. They are. I don't care what your record is in division. They're always going to be tough. But the toughest ones, to me, are on the road. Other than that, if they can handle those, I'm really wondering, are they going to push for the Miami Dolphins record?
No, they're gonna get beat once. They're gonna get beat.
They're gonna lose.
I didn't say they would. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, based on the schedule and the talent, and if they have the mindset. See, this is where the coaching comes into play and getting them right, and saying to them, "Look, fellas, we won a Super Bowl last year. Let's see if we can go back to back, and on top of that, let's take it one game at a time."
They go to undefeated with the fourth hardest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah, that's
bro. They might be a dynasty for real. They might reel off 3 or 4.
Think about what you guys just said. They already have veterans, but they're replacing it with talented young talent. Mm-hmm. I just showed you a young undrafted talent too that they're bringing into the fold. So it's like, whoa. And we've had our discussions pre-show. It's like, whoa, this team. So that's why I said I posed that question. Can they? Do I think they're going to lose a game or two during the season? Yes. I honestly think they're probably going to be around 12, 13 wins. But if it gets late in that season and they can get past, and they're undefeated going past the Chargers.
Yeah. If they undefeated at the Chargers, they're going undefeated.
Hold on. But then you got at Buffalo too towards the end of the season. At Buffalo, that's a tough one.
But no, that's not what I'm saying. But see, now you start to say to yourself, "Whoa, wait a minute. We now have something that nobody else could possibly do other than one other team." So now you change your mindset, because I know what everyone says. Oh, once you get late, you start resting people, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But when that all-time record comes into focus, no, you're a competitor. You're egotistical. That comes out to play. NYG said it. Sirianni is smug. You don't think he's going to want to go for that? I know me as a coach, I would. So
the only thing that could really derail them, man, is if AJ Brown gets upset. That's the only thing.
Chemistry and injuries.
Yep.
Chemistry and injuries. That is what will stop the Eagles this year. But I'm with y'all. Over 11.5. But I'm saying under repeating as Super Bowl champs. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I'm sorry, y'all. It's the
Yeah.
Aboriginal Sports Network.
Mm.
I'm finna co-sign
I
some
agree.
Eagle shit.
I
But
agree,
nah, this
man.
is a very good team though. But I'm with the over 11.5. But yo, we gotta get to those Commanders, man. Those Commanders, they are nipping at the heels of these Philadelphia Eagles. Was right there in the NFC Championship game with these dudes, man. Came up short. We're going to see what they did. And did they improve? Or are they going to lose again to Philly? We're going to find out, man. Y'all hit that like. We be right back.
Oh well.
All right, we are back with the Washington Commanders. Commanders, man, surprised a lot of people last year. 12-5 in Jaden Daniels' first year. And guess what? They was in the NFC Championship game. Wow. Such a surprise for the Washington Commanders. Good vibes over there. Unless you Terry McLaurin, but we'll talk about that later. But good vibes over there in Washington, man. You see the man up there, Dan Campbell, Jaden Daniels, man. They got this squad back on track. BetMGM got them at 9.5, 8th ranked strength of schedule. 9.5. We're gonna talk about that 9.5. But before we talk about that 9.5, I want to talk about what went down last year and how did this team get so good virtually out of nowhere? I mean, because Washington was a team that was down in the dumps. Now they are Super Bowl contention as one of the top favorites in the NFC. Pat, Coach Cave, bring me up to speed on what happened last year with the Commanders before we get into turn the page and get into 2025 and what they're going to look like going into this coming up year, man. Talk to me, fellas.
All right, man. One of the main reasons why the Commanders were in the NFC Championship last year, well, yeah, it was because of Jaden Daniels. You know, Jaden Daniels came over there and gave them a jolt in the arm, man. He gave that DC area what they needed, man, a hero. They needed a hero, and that's what he was. He came out there, he did what he was supposed to do. He didn't make many mistakes. He made plays. He got out the pocket and did things that, normal rookies don't do. And he stayed healthy. A lot of people thought that, if he got hit a lot, he would be out. But no, he stayed healthy for pretty much the whole season. But the thing people are not going to talk about is Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn was the general behind what everything happened out there last year. He got that defense playing. They brought in some veterans over there, and that defense was playing. And they just Jaden Daniels, man. That whole city got behind Jaden Daniels, man. And I think that was the difference with the Washington Commanders last year. They got rid of that Dan Snyder or whatever that dude's name was. That ownership, they got out of that ownership and they changed. Magic Johnson over there, Showtime, he's doing his thing over there. So I just think this team is behind Jaden Daniels, and that's what culture is built off of, man. So they did a lot last year. But Man Cave, what do you think happened with those guys last year? Why they made it to the NFC Championship game?
Well, just like both of you guys said, man, I think they surprised a lot of people, man. And first thing, Pat, what you said as far as they got rid of the black cloud over their franchise, getting rid of Daniel Snyder when he sold the team. Adam Peters and them guys came over, they took over, Josh Harris, and they brought a new culture, brought a new, coaches staff, changed in like a whole, changed staff from top to bottom and stuff like that, clean house and stuff like that. So, hey, Jaden Daniels stepped into a perfect situation, man. Like I said, far too many, we talk about guys who come in and they go to toxic teams, but he came into a fresh team. And they do what every team does. Their first time, nobody had a book on them. They didn't know what to expect. So they surprised a lot of teams. They surprised the NFL. But this season, like I said, people got the book now. So we'll see if they're going to sneak up on anybody. I don't think they're going to sneak up on people no more. So now you are what we thought you are. We'll see what happens, man. And hey, I got to give a lot of credit to the offensive line. Their offensive line was very competent and allowed Jaden Daniels to have a balanced attack, to throw the ball, to run the ball. So you got to give a lot of credit to the much maligned Bobby Johnson, who was our former O-line coach, who got criticized, but he went over there. He had a good job over there with Dan Quinn and that staff. And what's the offensive coordinator? The former coach of the Arizona Cardinals. You got to give him a lot of credit too. To take over the offense and to like I said, everybody was surprised, and I'll give much props to the Washington Commanders last year. Like I said, they shocked me by going to the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I didn't think they was going to make it that far, but they did. They have a bright young future. But like I said, the book is out now, so we'll see if the Washington Commanders is going to surprise anybody this season. They lost some guys last year in the offseason and stuff like that, so we'll see. We'll see if Jaden Daniels and these guys could duplicate what they did last year, man. But, Coach, what you got?
Thanks, Cave. I really appreciate it. When we look at the numbers, the points scored in terms of ranking, they were 5th in terms of scoring points, 7th in total yards. Passing yards was 17th, touchdowns was 9th, pass interceptions was 7th, rush yards was 3rd, so they were tops in the league, and rush touchdowns were 4th. So they had a potent rushing attack, and we know a lot of that stems from Jaden Daniels. Defensively, overall, they points scored, they were 18th. Total yards, they were 13th. Now, pass yards, they were 3rd. Pass touchdowns, they were 15th, so they're middle of the pack. Interceptions, they were 26th. Now, rushing yards, they were 30th, and rushing touchdowns, they were 18th. So they need to be improved. They need to improve going forward. And again, the player who was the most impactful, Jaden Daniels. I mean, in terms of passing, 331 completions on 480 attempts, 69%. For 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But here's the biggest impact, the rush. 148 attempts for 891 yards, 6 touchdowns. So he averaged 6 yards per carry. So you see the impact that he had offensively. So, but here we go. Turn it back over to NYG.
Yeah, they gotta get better with that run defense over there in Washington. The defense was definitely a hindrance to that squad because offensively they was pretty dang on good with Jaden Daniels and company. But let's get into the key losses. Key losses here, of course, losing a couple receivers. Not nothing crazy, but De'Ami Brown was a big part. He did contribute over there. Zacchaeus, as Pat mentioned, in the Bears preview, he goes over to Chicago, so they lose a couple guys there. Dante Fowler Jr., edge rusher, going over to the Cowboys. Jeremy Chin to the Raiders. And they lose both kickers. Huh? You lose all your kickers for? I should have highlighted that. I'm going to tell you why. Because Washington is one of those teams that they lose games because of their kickers. They'll lose a game because of their kicker. Get out kicked. But the big one here, man, you see him on the screen, Jonathan Allen, man. Coach talked about the run defense. He was one of those staples right there, smack dab in the middle long time Washington Redskin commander, whatever you want to call these dudes. Now at the Vikings, I think that is going to be their biggest loss because this list is not as extensive as some of the other teams we've covered. So I think Washington did real good keeping most of their team together. A couple guys here. Who y'all got as one of the key losses for the Commanders?
Yeah, the guy that I got is the only guy that I think that's really a loss for them. That's Jonathan Allen. You know, Jonathan Allen, man, he was a leader on that defense for many, many years. You know, he went through a whole lot with that Commanders team, but he was one of those captains on there. He had to fight his brethren 1 year, the other defensive tackle that's still there. But him moving on, man, maybe that hurts them as far as the inside pass rush and stopping the run. He could be a major, major loss for them. Does it say that they will, you know, their defense will turn into trash because they lost this guy? No, I think this Commanders defense under the tutelage of Dan Quinn is going to still be very good. But not having Jonathan Allen there, it hurts a little bit, but I think they'll overcome it. But Cave, who do you think is their major loss?
All right, for me, yeah, I would say Jonathan Allen myself, but I'm gonna go with Dante Fowler because, like I said, it's pass rushing, and I'm looking at this team. They lost a lot of pass rushing over the years. Dante Fowler, Sweat, what's the other guy, Chase Young, and stuff like that. So they lost a lot of pass rushing. So their line really it doesn't scare teams, like I said, like in the past when they had Allen and Payne, you know, in that defensive middle and stuff like that. But losing Allen was a big loss. But like I said, the pass rushing is going to hurt the Commanders a lot. So that's another thing with them is like that's going to, even though Dan Quinn is a great defensive coach and defensive coordinator and stuff like that, those are key losses because those are things that he thrives off. So I want to see how they're going to, on defense, how they're going to react this year and how they're going to play this year, you know, as far as defense. But yeah, Dante Fowler for me is their biggest loss and stuff like that. And another person who was a loss, he's not on this list, I know it was probably a year ago, was Emmanuel Forbes, the rookie that they picked up in the second-year player, like young player. That's a big loss when you just wasted a draft pick on a cornerback, was a first-round pick. So that's another big loss for them, even though he wasn't on the screen. But, Coach, who do you think was a big loss?
And when you think about the losses, I look at that back end. And anytime, you know, now you guys know me, I always talk about the sexy fatties, but you guys cover that masterfully. So I don't need to go there. But when you have the number 3 defense in terms of yards, you got to look at the back end also. You know, yes, you look at that front side, but now you got to look at the back side. And losing 3 DBs, how are you going to replace that? You know, that's going to be key, you know, going forward, you know, in terms of what do you do when you lose a safety, 2 cornerbacks. You know, these guys know the system. They fit in. They contributed. So now you got to bring new guys in to replace those guys and to contribute. So for me, it's your defensive backfield that, you know, those 3 guys right there. So, but over to you, NYG.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. Like I said, not a lot of losses for the Commanders on or off the field. Let's see who they brought in. Just gonna prepare you guys. They did so much in the offseason. I think they had $100 million or something to spend or whatever. They added so much. It's in 2 slides. I ain't gonna hold you. It's in 2 slides. This is the offense. Offensively, I'm looking at Deebo Samuel, who they acquired in the trade with the 49ers. Laramie Tunsil, who they acquired in a trade with the Texans. They signed Nate Herbig, so they added to their offensive line, re-signed Trent Scott, re-signed both of their tight ends, John Bates and Zach Ertz. Defensively, let's make sure we cover our bases here, folks. Von Miller, one of the more recent signings. Javon Kinlaw, he signed a big deal over there. bringing in D tackles out the Wahoo, Jalen Holmes, Eddie Goldman, Sheldon Day, re-signed Bobby Wagner, Will Harris. They got them a kicker now, Matt Gay. I mean, they just went ape shit in free agency. Ape shit in free agency. I got Von Miller. Right here. And I got Deebo Samuel. I got two for the Commanders because this is a team, you see what they lost or didn't lose, and then they do this. This is why a lot of people are high on the Commanders. Now, these guys got to go out there and they got to play on the football field, and they do have a lot of veterans. And with veterans comes things like injuries, contract negotiations, whatever the case. But I got Deebo Samuel. I got Von Miller. I can click back and forth on the slide for you guys if you want to see the list, because I just couldn't put it all on one page, man. It was a lot. It was a lot. But who do y'all got as a key addition for the Commanders, man? Talk to me.
Yo, I got Mr. Laramie Tunsil, the guy that they acquired at the tackle position to protect Jaden Daniels' blind side. You don't want to get Jaden Daniels to get hit from the blind side. Too little to be taking those big hits like that. And so they said, hey, our offensive line caused Jaden Daniels have to be a superhero at times. Let's get some people out there to block for him so he could be back there and wheel and deal and become even more dangerous. So Larry Tunsil, may have fell out of favor with the Texans. I don't know. Maybe they thought that he was washed, but if he could come over there and perform at that Pro Bowl level that he usually does, it's going to be a huge get for the Washington Commanders, because their offensive line is going to be key to getting that running game going and to allow Jaden Daniels do what he do on that field. So Laramie Tunsil was my guy. Cave, who's your guy, man?
Hey, Pat, I'm going to have to agree with you. That's who I was going to go with. Laramie Tunsil, man. Like I said, one of the best left tackles in football, next to Trent Williams and Andrew Thomas when healthy and stuff like that. Laramie Tunsil has been one of the stalwarts in the league for some years, one of the top, offensive linemen, tackle. So that's who I'm going with, Laramie Tunsil. And I'm also going to go with Bobby Wagner, another key addition signing. They signed him back, and like I said, he was very integral for them last year. Veteran leadership that brings that veteran mentality, and like I said, got the defense together. He's the defensive captain, and he is back again with them, because like I said, if he's not there, it's not the same Commanders team on defense. You need that veteran leadership, somebody who can make plays and get those guys rally and stuff like that. So those are my key. Laramie Tunsil and Bobby Wagner are two key additions for the Commanders. So I'll turn it over to you, Coach, and see who's your key additions.
Okay, very appreciate you. Gonna go with another sexy fatty, but on the other side of the ball, Javon Kinlaw. There's his career stats, but Kinlaw has tremendous size and a long wingspan with big hands. Now, he works hard in the trenches, and one of the things that I like the most is that he counters when he's stopped with a second move, where most defensive linemen just gets stuck in the mud in a sense. He works to a second move. Now, he'll always hustle no matter what when he's pursuing. His big move is the bull rush, just like most of the defensive linemen. But he has a good ability to collapse the pocket with this move. But he counters off this bull rush and converts a leverage advantage into a clean pressure. So, and what does that mean? Again, if they stop him from bull rushing, he comes back with another move, whether it's a rip move, whether it's a spin move, anything of that nature to get the offensive lineman off balance and then be able to push him right into the quarterback. So that's my impact player. That's my addition for the Washington Commanders. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, NYG.
All right. Like I said, man, Adam Peters over there doing work. He working off season like crazy, man. Look at this draft, man. Josh Connery Jr., tackle, Oregon. We talked about protecting a young quarterback. What did they do? They went out there and they got them some offensive linemen. They got first-round pick offensive lineman, Josh Connery Jr. out of Oregon, Trey Amos, cornerback out of Mississippi. I think the kid's going to be a stud in the NFL. We talked to him at the Senior Bowl. I think he's going to be good. That's just my personal opinion. I like his attitude. I like what I seen out there at the Senior Bowl. Jalen Lane, another Senior Bowl player we talked to, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. Yeah, speed. He's going to give you that, man. Cat, slot receiver. So I see how they working over there. I do see how the Commanders are working. Man, these other teams got some work to do, man. Giants, Cowboys, because these first two teams looking crazy right now. But who y'all got as your top draft pick? Again, man, my man Trey Amos, man. That's what I'm rolling with. Who y'all got?
Yeah, we did the interview with Trey Amos, and we talked to this guy here, Jalen Lane, man. I think he's going to be a absolute force with this Commanders team because I think he meshes with Jaden Daniels well. Reason why I say that slot receiver that he needs, losing Zacchaeus, I think he fills that role immediately, and I think he's that type of player to where when Jaden Daniels breaks that pocket, he knows how to make himself available, and that is very dangerous with the speed that he has going into this NFC East, man. You're going to need those guys. You know, Deebo Samuel, maybe he's not the same guy that he was, but if this guy has to come in and fill in at the slot, I think Jaden Lane is the perfect guy for them, man. And I think he's going to make his name known with the Commanders this season with Jaden Daniels. I think that's a perfect matchup for him. But, Cave, who you got, brother?
Yeah, Pat, once again, man, hey, I was going to go with Trey Amos, the cornerback. Like Coach said, they lost a lot of DBs and stuff like that. Trey Amos is a big gift for them, but I'm going to go with Jalen Lane as well because of the Terry McLaurin situation right now with the Commanders. Don't know how that's going to turn out. And looking at this guy film, like I said, I've seen him in college with Virginia Tech, got the speed and stuff like that. Jaden Daniels needs more weapons and stuff like that because, like I said, Jahan Dotson didn't pan out. He's gone. So, hey, Terry McLaurin is the only one there right now, is the big playmaker, but he's not in camp right now because of the contract thing. So Jalen Lane's going to be the man right now. He could take over and, be that man right now because that's who else they going to turn to. So that's what I'm going to go with Jalen Lane right now. That's my, for the draft for who they get. So, Coach, who do you got?
Great job, fellas. I'm going to make it a sweep to a certain extent. Yes, I will say Lane, but because you guys covered it, all three of you guys, I'm actually going to go with Connolly, the offensive lineman. All right? Because, again, you have to protect your star quarterback. And being able to have Connolly up there coming from Oregon, great size, great athleticism, great ability in the trenches, versatility. He's the type of offensive lineman that will match up well with Daniels going forward, not just for this year, but for years to come. Now, when you think about that, that's a problem when you get an offensive lineman like that, where he can match any defensive lineman in terms of speed, as terms of athleticism, and as you see right here, getting out there in the screen and get moving downfield. Plays with a good base. I mean, has a nasty disposition. So he's the one that you need, especially when the other offensive lineman, the veteran offensive lineman, move on. He's going to be there for years to come, especially with Daniels. So that's who I'm going to highlight right now as far as the draft pick. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you and YG.
Yeah. Again, it's been a good off season for the Commanders. Let's take a look at the roster. Let's see how they put it all together. And what I'm especially paying attention to is what Coach always talks about, those sexy fatties, those offensive linemen, because to me, when you have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, and you're predicated on running the football primarily, to move to go, to get in between, up and down the field or whatever. I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm definitely looking at the offensive line, and it looks pretty good. I must say, it looks pretty good, especially if Josh Connery Jr. pans out and can take that right tackle spot. I mean, you got Tunsil, you got Brandon Coleman, you got Tyler Badass, who you stole from Dallas, and then Sam Cosmi. Now, it's not rock 'em, knock 'em, sock 'em, but you got Jaden Daniels, who can take off at any moment. Defensive wise, that's where it gets interesting. They brought in pieces, but it's a very heavily veteran-laden team. And again, when you have a veteran team, that can work in your favor, and it can work against you as well too, because players can get banged up, and you can be a mash unit out there. But y'all know how we do. Y'all know how we do. We got the crew in here, man. We about to break down this Commanders squad. Pat on the defense, Cave on the offense, and we got the coach, breaking down these coaches. And I just want to see what's the outlook for the Commanders. Take it away, fellas.
All right. For the offensive side, man, I'm looking at the Commanders. Of course, you're going to have to start with Jaden Daniels at the quarterback position, Brian Robinson Jr., a great running back for the Commanders. Then you got Terry McLaurin, like I said, is holding out right now, but who knows? He may get a contract or he may get traded. So that's going to be a big question mark for the wide receiver position. And then you got the addition of Deebo Samuels, and you got Noah Brown. Now, Deebo Samuel, like I said, I mean, it was a great pickup for Washington. I know some people said that was a great trade, I guess. What again, for a 4th or 5th round pick? But like I said, my friend who's a 49ers fan, he said Deebo, he had separation issues. But we'll see. Like I said, it might work out in Washington for the Commanders. So that offense, like I said, looking at that offense, they need some more weapons on that offense. Because the only name right there is like Terry McLaurin right now, Deebo, Noah Brown, Zach Ertz, reliable Zach Ertz at the tight end position, who you can always count on. And the offensive line, Laramie Tunsil and Connolly in the draft was huge for the Commanders. The bookend tackles that they feel could replace those guys and could be on the outside for a while with Connolly and Laramie Tunsil. And you look at the interior with Tyler Biadasz, Cosmi, and then Brandon Coleman. Hey, they're going to come back with the same line. A better line than last year. So, hey, I look for them to do the same thing. But like I said, this is year 2. And everybody done caught up and, they got the playbook on them. So we'll see how they operate this season, man. So, that's a good thing about football. You can fool me once, but, it's going to be hard to fool me twice. So we'll see how Washington offense, and if Kingsbury could come up, be more dynamic with the offense, then hey, but he's going to need more playmakers. And Terry McLaurin would be a big, if he can come back and stay, he's a big get for those guys, man. But they're going to need McLaurin, because if they don't have him, then they're going to have to turn to Deebo Samuels, Noah Brown, and then the rookie Jalen Lanes, and also Zach Ertz. So that might be their Achilles heel this season on the offensive side. So Jaden Daniels may have to do a lot more than he did the year before to mask some of those problems and issues if Terry McLaurin is not there. But I'm going to turn it over to Pat on the defensive side and see what he sees on that side of the ball.
All right, defense, man. Let's talk about this Commanders defense, man. Listen, got Dorrance Armstrong, who I think is very underrated. I think that guy is a very good player in Dorrance Armstrong. Still got one of the Wonder Twins at the defensive tackle position, Deron Payne. Brought over Ken Law, Von Miller. Yo, I think that front four is pretty doggone good, man. You got veterans and a younger guy, Ken Law, in there. Then you got Frankie Louisville and Bobby Wagner. They're going to do their thing again. Same people that they had last year. Then you got Jonathan Jones. Will Harris. We'll see what he is when he gets out there. Quan Martin. Don't know who that really is, but he's going to have to, pick up the slack at the free safety position. He's going to have to go sideline to sideline. Then you got old man Marshawn Lattimore. Does he still have it out there? And Mike Sarenstill from Michigan. He did pretty well last year. Now that secondary is a little meh. You know, if they don't get some pressure, they can get, they can get hit down the field deep. Trey Amos, until he's ready to come in there and start. Yeah, they got a little secondary issue, man. I'm glad we do these reviews, man, these previews, because that secondary is scaring me a little bit. But that front seven is decent. But like Man Cave said, it might be a little bit more pressure on Jaden Daniels to repeat what they did last year. But this defense, if I had to give it a grade, I'll give it a C+ to a B because of who Dan Quinn is. He can get those guys a position to do what they need to do. But coach, what about the coaching, brother?
Pat, thanks a lot, man. You said it, man. When it comes to the coaching, you have Dan Quinn, an elite, efficient mind when it comes to the defensive side of the football. He's also a good head coach. He knows how to manage the game very well. Being experienced running Dallas's defense, but don't forget he was out there with Seattle too, so he knows how to run a defense, and he knows how to lead men. Now we want to talk about coordinators. Cliff Kingsbury. You think about that, former Arizona offensive head coach, high-tech offensive coordinator in college. One of the things in reading what he did last year, which really impressed me, have it highlighted. The team converted 87% of its fourth down conversions, which was best in the NFL. That is a backbreaker for defenses, because if you don't stop them, they get a new set of downs and go over and keep the drives going. So this is what he does. He takes advantage of putting his offensive players in positions to capitalize and take advantage of the opposition on the defensive side of the ball. Now, we may have concerns a little bit about some of their skills, but Kingsbury is going to do a great job of getting these guys in the right positions to take advantage of what they need to do. And listen, guys, say what you want about him as a head coach. He's an elite, efficient mind offensively. So you partner that up with Quinn, and you have two elite minds leading the Washington Commanders. And Joe Witt, the young ascending defensive coordinator, second season with Washington. So he's already vetted, he's already vested being there in the organization, but he also knows defense. And plus, he's learning from one of the elite minds, so that's only going to help him get better. But what he brings to the table will also help them going forward. And Pat, you said the concern is on the back end. But I always see and have learned from Quinn that he knows how to take care of that. Because when you thought about the Legion of Boom in the beginning, you didn't think you were going to see the talent that you eventually did. So he'll bring the talent out of these guys eventually, or he'll get the right guys in there to do the job. With that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
Yeah, I must say, I think Pat's on to something. When I look a little closer at this defense, it doesn't scare me. Let's put it like that. Offensively, with Jaden Daniels in there and the way they could run the football, yeah, but defensively leaves a little bit to be desired. Let's see if they can get to these 9.5 over under for Washington at 9.5. I think it said they got the 8th ranked schedule. Open up. It's the New York Giants. Whoopee. You get them at home too. Then you go to Green Bay, Vegas, Atlanta, Chargers, Chicago, Dallas. It's not looking bad to start the season for the Commanders. Then it get a little bit tougher at Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit, Miami, bye week, Denver, Minnesota, Giants, Philly, twice and Dallas again. Back end gonna be rough. That's why I said injuries, especially on the defensive end, is something that can derail this team. But 9.5. What we doing, fellas? Over or under? This one, I'm waffling on this one a little bit, y'all. I don't know if this team can win 10 games. I don't know. I don't know.
Looking at this schedule, man. If they mess up and lose to us the first week, you know, you got Green Bay right after that. Then you got the Raiders. The Falcons are no pushover. I think the Chargers have a team that could really combat against them. Because the Chargers get that run game going against them, it's going to be a problem. And I think that's what the Chargers this season, period. If their run game is going, they're going to be a hard team to beat. The Bears, they had you dead to rights last year. It went for a Hail Mary play that beat them. And I don't think you have the same caliber squad that you did last year. It's going to be more on Jaden Daniels. Dallas, they always seem to lose one against Dallas. Kansas City is Kansas City. Then you got Detroit, Philly twice, Minnesota, and Denver. Get in there, and it's not, and it's 8.5 or 9.5.
9.5.
Mm-hmm.
9.5. So they gotta win 10.
I'm gonna give them the over at 10 wins just because of who Jaden Daniels is. I really think that kid is gonna be one of the better quarterbacks in the league for a long time. And if Jaden Daniels, he makes those splash plays that he does, they can beat the Chargers, they can beat the Packers. I'll give them 10 wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hit the under. I wouldn't. But I'm going to go over just because of who Jaden Daniels is. What you guys got, Cave, Coach?
I think I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go right at 9 wins. And I think it's because of that offense. Like I said, the book is, people got the book now. And Jaden Daniels is an extraordinary player, but if McLaurin thing holds up and then he doesn't play or whatever, I don't know what happens. But yeah, I just can't see it, man. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team, but like I said, they can still they're beatable. So it's not like it's a given. So I'll go at 9 wins. I think they get about 9 wins.
What you got, Coach? Talk to him.
Sitting here looking at the schedule. You know what? That MGM knows what the hell they're doing, man.
Yes, they do.
Man, do they know? Because that 9.5 is just right. Because they can go 9 or they can go 10 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And in going down the line and looking at it, to me, to get to 10 wins, actually starts with Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it starts with Green Bay. It's a primetime game. It's in Green Bay Thursday night. It's going to be a short week coming off of that New York game, a division game at that. So it's going to be hard pressed. I'm going to have to take the under and go with 9 wins for them.
Yeah, I think I'm with the 9. I think I'm with the 9. I think I'm with the under. I think this is a team that is primed to take just a little bit of a step back. You got to think they won 12 games last year. They was in the NFC Championship game. It's the road games that's gonna get them at Green Bay. Remember, you talked about Atlanta. They can be either or. If you don't have a good defense, Atlanta can score on you. Dallas, the same thing. They can score on you. Kansas City can score on you. Minnesota can damn sure score on you, and so can Philadelphia. So that to me, it's them road games. It's them road games. If they drag a defense in there that's either banged up or underperforming, it's going to be hell for Jaden Daniels to keep up with some of those offenses. So I'm taking the under here. I still think they're going to be a good team. I just don't think they're going to be as good as last year. It's hard to repeat that. 1 year they might have been on that 1 year wonder type hype stuff. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We will see. But that being said, y'all, it is time to move on, and we gotta take a little trip down south to see the Dallas Cowboys and see what they've been up to. I don't want to do it, but they part of the division, and we just gonna have to go and suck it up and talk about the Cowboys for a little bit. So we're gonna do that, and we'll be right back. I hit that like. All right. We going down to Texas. Gotta make that trip down to Jersey World. Oh, Dallas Cowboys. 7-10 last year. Bet MGM got him at 7.5 again this year. Whoopee. Way to go, Dallas. Way to go. 5th overall strength of schedule. And what is this about, y'all? Dak Prescott, Michael Parsons, all the big names, they want their money. Parsons complaining he wants out. Dak coming off an injury. I don't know. It's more or less of a I need to cue up my circus music, because it seems like that's what it is down there in Dallas. 9 out of 10 years. Or 10 out of 10 years, pretty much, recently. But, again, they're not a scrub team. Like I said, won 7 games without the starting quarterback. Got them at 7.5 this year. What went wrong with Dallas? What went wrong? Because everybody on the shows, that's all in the videos, all on the networks, they always put the Cowboys to the top of the list as if this is some team that is supposed to compete for a Super Bowl. You might be competing for something. It might be for last place in your division. But tell me what happened last year before we fast forward and take a look at what the Cowboys did and how they can try to turn this thing around and get another Super Bowl before Jerry Jones leaves this earth. Talk to me, y'all, man. What's on your mind about the Cowboys, man?
Well, we're gonna go on down here to Texas, talk about these doggone Cowboys here. How about them Cowboys last year? They won 7 games last year. You know, Dak Prescott went down. You know, we needed Dak Prescott out there, man. You gotta throw that ball out there at CD line. You know, Brandon Cooks out there, they weren't doing what they supposed to do, but we had that boy Turpin. I tell you, that boy Turpin, that boy good, boy. Coming over there with the team up sport, you know, he was returning the ball. He's all pro 2 years in a row. But for some reason, man, these Dallas Cowboys, every year they make us cry. I'm not a crying man, but I cry every time my Cowboys lose when they go to the playoffs, and they lose every time, man. Hey, forget all that, man. These Cowboys, they're always a disappointment. They're very undisciplined, and it seems that when they actually get into the nitty-gritty, they seem to lose all the time. I don't know why they lose all the time. You can tell, I don't know. Can anybody tell me why they have one of the most talented rosters year after year after year and continue to lose and not hold up their end of the bargain as far as going out there putting some wins for those Dallas Cowboys fans? You know, they're always, you know, projected to go to the Super Bowl. They're always projected to do this and that. And for some reason, they don't never do what they're supposed to do. And I'll be honest with you, with the Michael Parsons fiasco, asking for a trade, with Trayvon Diggs' contract, I don't know. This team last year, they do what they do every year, and that's disappointing. But they were even more disappointed last year because they didn't even make the playoffs. They down there fighting with the New York Giants for the bottom of the NFC East. But they were just a disappointment last year, and they normally do exactly what you expect them to do. Be super hyped and not live up to expectations. That's what they do down there in Texas with them Dallas Cowboys. Hey, the Texans, they looking mighty fine over there. They might take over things down here in Texas. You know, I might be a Texas fan. That boy CJ Stroud. I don't know, Dak Prescott, you better get your act together. I might become a CJ Stroud fan. But I'm going to turn it over to Shakes and let him talk about these Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
Hey, yeah, man. How about them Cowboys, America's team, right? Well, supposedly America's team. But I think the railings started to fall off the season before the season began with some of the offensive linemen, retiring and things like that. And then the rails really came off during the season when Dak got hurt, and also when I think Trayvon Diggs got hurt. So that tore their season apart, man. So that was a destruction of the Dallas Cowboys. And hey, as a Giant fan, I love seeing that, man. I couldn't think about anything sweeter, anything better than seeing the Cowboys go down in destruction, man. I love it, you know. But yeah, like I said, that was a downfall for them last year, man. They're gonna have even more of a downfall again this year coming up. So I can't wait to see the destruction of that coming up this year too. And then they had what got rid of the coach, Mike McCarthy and stuff like that. I mean, not that he's gonna make a difference, but I think, hey, that was a good luck charm for them. Get rid of Mike McCarthy. Now they got Schottenheimer in there. Let's see what he's gonna do this season. But it's gonna be tough sledding, man. With Dak coming back off the injury, Trayvon coming off an injury, and Micah Parsons won a new contract. So hey, the drama is all good in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Only thing they're missing right now is J.R. Ewing. Let's go Cowboys. Coach, what do you got?
Well, as the numbers are going to tell you, points scored 21st, yards 17th. The best unit was pass yards at 11. Pass touchdowns were at 13, so you're above middle of the pack. The pass interceptions, you're at 22nd. Rush yards, you're at 27. And rush touchdowns, dead last, 32nd. Defensively, points scored, you're 31st. Total yards, 28. Pass yards, 17th. Pass touchdowns, 24th. Interceptions, 12th. Rush yards, 29th. And rush touchdowns, dead last, also there at 32nd. Bottom line is, they couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't stop you from rushing the football into the end zone. That's the truth. Back to you, NYG.
Yeah. They couldn't run the football or stop the run. And yet, when you look at the losses, you lose Rico Dwaddle, who was, I believe, your top rusher last year. You lose Chauncey Golston, edge rusher. DeMarcus Lawrence, edge rusher. Carl Lawson, edge rusher. And Linval Joseph and Carlos Watkins from the defensive line. I don't know about you guys, but so far, we'll see what they added. I'm not feeling too confident based on what I'm seeing that they lost. Because the Cowboys, if they can't run or stop the run, you're done. Because we all know what Dak Prescott's going to eventually do, right? Right. But nah, I have to tease the Cowboys. I got to tease on this episode. If you think I wasn't. But seriously, y'all, which one of these losses, man? I've said DeMarcus Lawrence. I wanted him to come to the Giants. Daggone it. That would have been lovely. But we still got Chauncey Golston. You got one of you guys, damn it. But I think DeMarcus Lawrence, they're going to miss the most. Who y'all got?
Well, NYG, you said DeMarcus Lawrence, and that does hurt. But the guy I want to talk about today is going to be Zach Martin. It hurts my heart. It really hurts my heart that Zach Martin is gone. He's retired. He's going on to greener pastures, and we're going to see him with a gold jacket here soon because he was the man when he was here. He started that whole offensive line thing over here with the Dallas Cowboys. And he ain't going to be back there protecting Dak Prescott. And we all know what Dak Prescott does when he's under pressure. He makes mistakes. We can't have those mistakes. So, yeah, Zach Martin's my guy, man. He blocked the eyes like Aaron Donald. And he was just down there. He was a beast. But on the real tip,
Yeah, they're gonna miss Zach Martin, man. Zach Martin is gonna be a huge loss for them. We're gonna see if one of those Tyler guys that they have there can take over for them, and it's gonna be hard to replace a Hall of Famer. As much as I joke on the Cowboys, that dude was a fixture for that Dallas Cowboys offensive line for years, and the injuries just started to pile up. And he's like, you know what? I ain't won nothing since I've been here anyway. I might as well go ahead and retire, get my gold jacket, and chill out. But Zach Martin's a huge loss for them. Cave, who you got, brother?
Yeah, I was going to say Zach Martin or DeMarcus Lawrence, but I'm going to go off the grid. I'm going to go with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is a huge loss for him because Cooper Rush has been in Dallas. He's been the guy who's been the backup, when things go wrong and you go to a quarterback shift or something, quarterback, out for the season. Cooper Rush has been there to stop the bleeding, as they say or whatever, and be that backup, that main backup QB number 2. And he's not there no more. And he's definitely going to be needed because Dak is coming off an injury. And I don't know, Dak may start the season, but they could have had Cooper there to start the season for him until Dak is ready. But I guess if Joe Milton's there, Joe Milton's going to be the guy. But I'm going to go with Cooper Rush, man. Like I said, that was a huge loss. He's been there for a minute now, and they're going to feel the effects of Cooper Rush leaving. And they don't have no backup plan if something happens with Dak going into the season. So I'm going to go with Cooper Rush, man. But, Coach, who do you got?
Thanks a lot, Dave. I really appreciate that. I agree with Pat in terms of Zach Martin, a Golden Domer, soon to be a Gold Jacket. I agree with NYG and Golston. Okay, I agree with you in Cooper Rush because you need that serviceable backup, especially when you have an injury-prone quarterback. But I'm going to add this one in, and he's not a trench guy. Brandon Cooks, veteran receiver. What are you going to give to help offset for CeeDee Lamb? Because if you don't have that veteran receiver with him, the focus can be on him. We see that the numbers said they had the number 11 in terms of passing yards. So, yes, they're going to go for that. But now if you don't have any other receiver that scares the defense, you're just going to – doesn't matter if he's in the slot, doesn't matter if he's on the outside. You're just going to bracket. You're going to call the coverage to him, and you're going to play one-on-one against everyone else until someone can beat you. So right now, I would have to say it's Brandon Cooks to help the passing game because if it was number 11, if it doesn't improve, I can easily see that going below the middle of the pack. So that's all I have. Back to you, NYG.
Yeah. Again, Cowboys. Let's see what they did in free agency. They did a lot. Or at least it looks like a lot. Cave mentioned Joe Milton. Signed Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams to add to the backfield, make up for Rico Dwaddle. You bring in, I don't know, Paris Campbell's still playing. But you did go out and get George Pickens from the Steelers, so that should help CeeDee Lamb out. You snatch Dante Fowler Jr., you bring him in. You give Odigizua a big contract. I'm squinting to see if you did anything on a Kaiir Elam. You got him from the Bills. That's what you got on the back end. I don't know. Solomon Thomas, they signed him. I'm going to say George Pickens as far as the biggest impact because this list itself is underwhelming, to be honest with you. I mean, for the Cowboys, it's supposed to be so great and grand and have, be America's team and all this and all that. Nah, dog. This ain't it. Jerry Jones told y'all he was going to go all out, all in. George Pickens, good luck. Take it away, fellas.
All right, now we heard you, coach. He said we lost Brandon Cook, so we went out there and we got George Pickens. And him and CD Lamb out there together, those boys gonna do a whole lot for us, man. That's a lot of weapons out there. You know, we love our weapons down here in Texas, so we got plenty of them down here. You had Turpin out there with them. Hey, we got something going on. But George Pickens is my definitely our biggest addition this year. Yee-hoo! I love that boy George Pickens. That boy, he catches the ball over the middle of the field. He makes great catches, and he's going to do what it do out here in the D. But, yeah, George Pickens is definitely a good grab for them, man. Him and CD Lamb out there together, man, that spells danger. And I don't care who the quarterback is. You can find a way to get the ball to George Pickens and CD Lamb. Yeah, so George Pickens is my guy.
All right. For me, I'm going to go with Dante Fowler. After you lose DeMarcus Lawrence and you lose Chauncey Golston, I think Dante Fowler is a good pickup for those guys. I think he came on a 1-year, $8 million deal. So, hey, you need some pass rushing, you know. Of course, you know, Dallas, like I said, their defensive line needs some injection of talented players and stuff like that. And Dante Fowler come on the cheap for 1 year for pass rushing. Yeah, that's what they needed, man, and stuff like that. And I could also said George Pickens. That was a great trade as well to get George Pickens to add with CD Lamb. But I'm going to go with Dante Fowler. They needed that pass rush since they got rid of DeMarcus Lawrence and Golston is gone. But, Coach, who do you got as your key addition?
It's re-signing of Diggy Zola. I mean, he's an athletic tackle. He's durable. He can play the pass. He's quick, explosive, he's mobile. He can use strength as well as speed. He can impact the defensive front in so many different ways. So he's the one that I think is the most impactful out of everything. So that's who I'm going to focus on this season. So with that being said, back to you guys.
Yeah, very underwhelming off season so far for the Dallas Cowboys because they all hype. So I'm trying to see what the hype is. Get me hyped up. This draft ain't get me hyped up. I do like Tyler Booker. Solid first overall pick for the Dallas Cowboys. They got the edge rusher Donovan is out of Boston College. Shamar James from Florida. We'll see what he turns out to be. Phil Maffa, running back out of Clemson. So they add in there. The biggest thing the Cowboys do and the best thing they do really is offensive linemen. That's why I got Tyler Booker as the most impactful pick that they're going to have this year. Who y'all got?
I have to agree with you. Tyler Booker. We got another Tyler on the offensive line. Those Tylers, yeah. We're going to see if this Tyler works out for us as well. Tyler Booker has got to replace Zach Martin, man. You got a lot on your plate to replace a Zach Martin. That's for sure. Tyler Booker, I do believe he has to play at guard. His athleticism is decent. But what you hope with Tyler Booker is he don't turn into like a guy that we'll be talking about with the New York Giants, like an Evan Neal type. You got to let him get in there and let him move his feet. And I think the only position you should be playing him at is guard. Don't try to switch him out there to tackle. You're going to have to let Tyler Guyton play tackle and let Tyler Booker play that guard position because I don't believe he has the feet to play tackle in the NFL. But as far as a guard, I think he could be dominant, to be honest with you. And, you know, they got a whole offensive lineman academy right next door to their training facility. So that's why their offensive linemen are turning out pretty doggone good. They go right next door and get training. So it is what it is, man. I think Tyler Booker is the draft pick that they're going to like the most this upcoming year. But, Cave, who you like, brother?
And I'm going to go with the second-round pick, Donovan Ezeraku, man, out of Boston College, the edge rusher, man, the edge. guy. I saw a lot of film on him too and stuff like that. And yeah, from Boston College, I watched a couple of games last year and stuff like that. And yeah, he stood out in that game. So that's really going to help them as far as edge and you know, because like I said, they lost with DeMarcus Lawrence and Golston, so they had to replenish that stuff with Dante Fowler, Donovan Ezeraku, and also a sneaky good pick with Siobhan Revell, the cornerback out of East Carolina. He was supposed to be a first-round pick, but because of injuries, he missed the senior season. He slipped to the third round. I was like, man, they got a steal on that, man. So those first three picks, man, good picks, and then Jaden Blue, the running back from Texas. So, hey, they replenish it, man. So I got to give them kudos for the top, you know, top of their draft. But that's who I would. But mine would be Donovan Ezeraku. So, Coach, who do you like for the Dallas draft picks?
All right, now. First things first. Y'all didn't pick up on why the Cowboys like Tyler so much? Tyler, Texas. It's a perfect match. But seriously, you guys, I think it's a Johnny Cornelius. Yes, I like Tyler Booker as a guard, but a Johnny Cornelius, offensive lineman, you take him, 6th round, good flyer, let him develop. He played fairly well with Oregon, you know, as a booking tackle to his former teammate. And he's the type of guy that, you know what, you can try and see what you can get out of him. He's fairly athletic. He's also, I don't know what they do out there in Oregon, but it just seems like they always have a nasty disposition. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's just being out there in Oregon, but I don't know what it is. But they have that nasty temperament, and they just want to punch people in the face. And he's that type of offensive lineman. So if you can get something out of him, he's the one that I think can be a draft pick that will be surprising and do very well for that team from down south. But with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to the maestro, NYG.
Appreciate it, Coach. Yeah, that team from down south. Yeah, we're hanging out in the South now. You know, we got the country music playing, man. Y'all hang out with us, man. Hit that like, hit that vibe. We got to get through this, man, with this Dallas Cowboys team, man, because when I'm looking at this roster, look all right offensively. Defensively, they look all right as long as they got Michael Parsons. What's the problem? What is the problem? The problem could be the quarterback. Is it the coaching? I need to know. Because talent-wise, okay, you know, I'll name a couple names. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, like that. The 3 Tylers on offensive line. Terrence Steele, you still got him. Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, I think they can hold you down from the running back position. And Dak Prescott. You paid him, so you stuck with him. He is what he is. Not a bad quarterback. Defensively, got Mazi Smith or Ziggy Zor. Most of all, you got Michael Parsons. So, I mean, again, what is the problem with this team? What is the problem with this team? They got talent. But I want to know from my NFL aficionados, they're going to break it all down for y'all. Pat, Cave, Coach, y'all know where you at. Pat, defense, Coach, coaching, Cave, offense, man. Break down this team and tell me and the fans out there, is this a Super Bowl caliber roster? Is this a Super Bowl caliber team? I want to know. They want to know. They want to know about the Dallas Cowboys. Break it down, y'all.
All right. On offense, to answer your question, NYG, no, they are not a Super Bowl caliber team this year coming up, man. They have more question marks than than some teams have. Because coming to the season, a $64 million question is going to be, is Dak Prescott? How is he going to be after the injury? How is he going to be playing? how's he gonna perform? And then also for Brian Schottenheimer, the coach, what type of offense you gonna run? What's the game plan? And it looks like they got a running back carousel. 1 year it's Ezekiel, next year it's Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle. Now it's Javonte Williams is going to be the running back now, with Miles Sanders backing them up. They're good at the receivers with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens right there, and also they got Jonathan Mingo, I think a second year player. So they got a young receiver in the background right there. Jalen Tolbert, another wide receiver. And then that tight end, they got Jake Ferguson, and of course Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end. So they get in at that position, but then the big question is going to be in the offensive line, with the offensive line shuffle with Zach Martin retiring, Travis Frederick's gone. Now you got all the Tylers on the line: Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele, and Cooper Beebe, the center. And Cooper Beebe, like I said, that was his rookie season last year at center. And like I said, hopefully he develops more and gets better and stuff like that. So we'll see. That offensive line is going to be their biggest question mark. How will they all perform this year? Because if they are competent and they can perform good, they might end up having a good season. But if that offensive line is in flux, because Tyler Booker, I think he's going to be out. Yeah, he's going to be out with an injury, so he's not going to be there for the beginning of the season, I believe. So now that's going to be another reshuffling on the offensive line. But if that line can get healthy and they stay together, and like I said, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, great 1-2 punch, man. And then Dak, if he comes back healthy, hey, they could have a good season. But that's what we don't know, man. But their team this year relies on this offense, how good this offense can be. Because I'm not looking so much on the defensive side. But I'll let Big Pat tell you how the defense is going to be.
All right, this defense here with the Dallas Cowboys, man. Dante Fowler, I'm not too, excited about. Mozzie Smith has his ups and downs. Now, I do like Odigizua. He's a monster. Micah Parsons is a monster if he's there. Overshown, always hurt. Kenneth Murray Jr. gets hurt. Trayvon Diggs is hurt. But when he's in there, he gets burnt a lot because he takes a lot of chances. Malik Hooker, he's all right. Donovan Wilson, he's a box safety, and he gets hurt too, to be honest with you. Kyer Elam, can he be that number one corner for him if Trayvon Diggs goes down? And they lost the guy. He went the little slot cornerback they had, Jones, but they got Deron Bland over there. But Bland has been kind of bland after that one season where he got 5 pick sixes. So it's looking kind of bad. And then their depth is not good at all either, to be honest with you. So this Cowboys team, are they a Super Bowl caliber team? Hell no, they're not a Super Bowl caliber team. But hey, we them Cowboys, and we gonna go to the Super Bowl every year. They tell us we gonna go to the Super Bowl every year, and we gonna go to the Super Bowl this year. We're gonna do it. But coach, talk about the coaching over there with the Dallas Cowboys, man. What they gonna do over there?
Well, Pat, NYG, Cave, you have a rookie head coach. Now, in fairness, he's experienced in being in the NFL. He knows the business. His uncle and his dad were coaches in the NFL. His dad was a head coach of the Browns, of the then Washington Redskins, the Chiefs, the Chargers. So he's been around and he's been taught how to be a head coach. He's been a prolific offensive coordinator, coaching at many different stops. But it's always still different your first time going from any coordinator spot to the head man. And then on top of that, at that team down south in Dallas. So the pressure is going to be on him right off the bat. Y'all said it. What type of offense is he going to give you? Most of the times his offenses need a good running game. So we're going to see, because they were dead last in terms of scoring touchdowns and one of the worst in terms of rushing overall. Now, you do have some talent in the wide receiver room, primarily CD Lamb. Pickens, we'll see. But on his coaching staff, you have Clayton Adams as an offensive coordinator, 7 years experience. I was surprised to see two former Scarlet Knights, Steve Shimko, quarterback coach, and Taekwon Underwood as assistant coaches over there. But hey, you're on the other side now, so I can't root for you. But you also brought in Matt Eberflus, who was the head coach in Chicago, but he's still a pretty good defensive mind. So can that help going forward? Can he control the defense to let Schottenheimer really manage the team? It's still to be determined. You don't know what you're going to get out of this offense, this team from the coaching staff. So right now, it's still to be determined. So I'll leave it there. With that being said, I'm turning it back over to you guys.
Yeah. You know what else is to be determined? If this team can win 7.5 games or not. That's what the bet MGM got him at. And I'm looking at this schedule, and I am like, I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to find the 8 wins. You get to beat up on the New York Giants. Cool. You get Vegas. You get Carolina. You get the Jets. Chicago, I don't know. What are you thinking there? Arizona. I mean, these are the teams on par with Dallas Cowboys at this moment, to be honest with you. That's why I'm saying 7.5. I don't know. They got to win 8 games. They won 7 last year, so they right there again. What y'all got? Over, under? 7.5, man.
Looking at this schedule here. Philadelphia, that's a loss. I'll give them over the New York Giants twice because we can't beat them for some reason. And until we beat them, I'm always give the Cowboys over the Giants. That Bears game is going to be interesting. If they wind up losing to the Bears, I can see them losing to the Packers. And don't get it twisted. That Jets game is not going to be easy for them either. Because that Jets defense shows up and they allow Justin Fields make a couple of plays against them, they can lose that game too. And Carolina's no gimme either for them. Carolina's no gimme for them because if their defense shows up, their offense for sure could put up enough points to beat the Cowboys. Washington, I think they get beat by Washington at least once, at the very least. Denver, I think they get beat. I think the Cardinals can beat them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The Raiders, yeah, I give that to them. Philly, no, they getting beat twice by Philly. I don't think they can beat Kansas City. I don't think they can beat Detroit. I don't think they can beat Minnesota. I don't think they can beat the Chargers. And then you got Washington right after that. I'm going under, the down under. I see them maybe getting like 6-7 wins again.
Cave. Any optimism for Dallas? Over, under?
I'm gonna go against. I'm gonna go over. I think they get 8 wins. I mean, Dallas and typically always get like 10, 11 wins. They got a lot of talent. They got talent on their team. Not as much as they had in the past, but they got some talent on their team. And looking at their schedule, it looked like they got like a lot of road games early in the season, and some of those road games against teams that, like I said, they on par with, so they could win some of those games. And you know, those are not like the toughest games to win. You know, the only one was that at the Broncos. That's going to be that's a tough one against the Broncos on the road. But against the Cardinals, you know, what's that? Carolina, the Jets. Yeah, I think they could get those games. I'm gonna give them 8 wins. I think they could get 8 wins on the season at least. They had 7 last year. They had 7 in a down year last year, so I could give them 8 with Dak back. You know, if he plays most of the season.
What you got, Coach?
So
Over under.
As first of all, it's under. No question about it. That's easy. I could easily see them go 0-9 to start the season. I can also, I'll be honest, I can also see them getting the Giants. I can see them getting possibly the Jets, possibly Carolina, yes, possibly Arizona, possibly yes. Realistically, no. I think more than likely they'll probably get New York. And they always play Washington's tough, especially in the beginning. So I think they can probably get Washington. I don't think they're going to get Green Bay. I don't think they're going to get Chicago. Chicago's going to play up because their former head coach is the defensive coordinator. So there's going to be a lot of energy over there. So Carolina, we already talked about Carolina previously. So they're a tough team. Denver, Arizona, it's tough. I mean, Kyler Murray, Texas boy. So is he going to show out in his home state? And the other reason why I said I wouldn't be surprised if they go over. Don't forget they have a new head coach, and it's a new ball game. So that's why I say it wouldn't surprise me. And then on the back end, Vegas, yeah, Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, Chargers. That second Washington, no. And then that New York game, what is it going to be? Is it going to be the toilet bowl?
Back into that schedule is kind of brutal.
Yeah, so
think about it. Because and just like Cave said, I think that kind of works against them because the teams you on par with, you got to go to their crib and try to beat them. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to Chicago and beat Chicago. You got to go to the Jets. You got to go to Carolina. You got to go to Denver, and you got to go to Vegas, and of course the Giants. I don't think they're going to win 8 games. I think it's going to be right at 7 again. To be honest with you, 6-7 wins. That's where I see this team. And for all that hoopla and rah-rah and they do over there, and for everything that Jerry Jones talks, and for all the money they done paid Dak Prescott, and you come out with 7 wins again, wow.
Ass, Mr. Postman.
Wow. Because they ain't do you no favors with this schedule. And the problem for the Cowboys is going to be depth. Pat said it. Because, especially on the back end, when you look at a schedule, how I be looking at schedules now, I'm like, okay, is this team going to be healthy during the meat of their schedule? I don't know if they're going to be healthy during the meat of their schedule. They do have a bye week, week 10, right in the middle, so that's decent. That's pretty good. But that's rough down the stretch. That's rough. You get Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, 4 games in a row. That could be 0-4 for sure.
And don't mess around and lose to the Giants. Please don't lose to the Giants. If you lose to the Giants, man, that can start an onslaught. You mess around, lose to Philly, and then lose to the Giants, and then the Bears and Packers coming there with confidence, and mess around and lose to the Jets. Then you got to go to Carolina. Then you got Washington, Denver. Then you got Arizona. How about them Cowboys? I'm telling you, mess around and lose to the Giants if you want to, and have your confidence shaking. We can't beat the Giants. We always kick their ass.
I think the Giants might be a bad matchup for this team this year. I'm just going to say that. And speaking of, that is where we going next, fellas. We getting up out of the South. We're going back up top. We're going to New York. We're going to the New York Giants. Yes, the time has come to talk about our squad, the New York Giants, and I saved it for last on purpose. You know I did. But we getting up out of Jerry's world, man. We taking a plane, train somewhere. We got to get up out of here because it's funky down here with these Dallas Cowboys, man. Take me up top, Pat. Let's go, man. Let's ride. All right. We are back with our last team And I would love to say not least, but they might be the least of the East. Because they were last year. 3-14. Of course, we're talking about the New York Football Giants. Only got them at 5.5. Might be a little low for my G, man. Don't think it's gonna be that bad, but they do have an uphill climb to make. We showed you the other 3 teams, and given the position they were in last year, the New York Giants definitely had to make some changes. So the biggest one there on the screen, that is Mr. Russell Wilson. Had to switch it up at the quarterback position. Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, and the bunch wasn't getting it done. So they went out and get Russell Wilson. They draft Jackson Dart. And now we are looking for a new start in New York. Dable's still there, though. So, I mean, confidence-wise, you want to see more out of Brian Dable. Given this record and given the past 2 seasons have been a colossal failure, but it's not all bad for the Giants, and they do have an opportunity to get better here, to make some improvements, and we're gonna look at the offseason, but like we do with every team, New York Giants no different. We got to go back and we got to take and see what happened with this team last year. Why were they so bad? To be honest, that's what the fans want to know. Why were the New York Giants so bad? We all Giants fans here, so this one should be pretty smooth for us. Why were the New York Giants so bad last year? Before we get into what they did in the offseason and if they can get improved. 5.5, the bar's low. Talk to me, fellas.
Well, last year we were 3-14, and why we were so bad was because we were just bad. We had bad coaching, bad preparation, bad scheme, bad quarterback play, bad receiver play, bad play calling. We were just bad. We were just a bad team. We were terrible. I think Brian Dable calling the plays, you could say sabotage to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones didn't do himself no favors. It was just weird last year. It was horribly weird. The best thing we had smoking was Malik Neighbors. If it wasn't for Malik Neighbors, it was nothing really on offense. And I think the defense just tired out. Now, I will say this. We were leading the league in sacks for like the first 6 weeks, and then it just tailed off once Dexter Lawrence got hurt. And then we just had bad quarterback play after quarterback play. Like, we didn't even start Drew Lock before we started Tommy DeVito last year. That was crazy. And you signed Drew Lock and hyped him up and didn't even play him. Like, we had a bunch of things going wrong with this organization. I just think this organization in general needs a leader. It just needs a leader. And Brian Dable, after that very first year, has shown that he's not been a great leader for this team. And it shows on the field. It shows with undisciplined plays, false starts, holdings, illegal man down the field, drop passes, bad throws, misreads, missed tackles. It's like you could go on and on and on about this team, man. But hey, look, I had enough time talking about how bad we were. Cave, talk to him, man.
Man, last year felt like we were living in a twilight zone, man. It was a tale of Murphy's Law. Whatever could go wrong, did go wrong from the very start. In the beginning of the season, the offensive line played great and stuff like that for the first 4 games. And then Andrew Thomas got hurt, and that's when everything started going off the rails. Andrew Thomas gets hurt. Then on the defensive side, Dexter Lawrence gets hurt. And before you know it, everything just snowballed after that. Theo Johnson gets hurt. Other people got hurt. It was just I just couldn't, like I said, during the games last year, it was like kind of nauseating. And sometimes it's like you couldn't even believe it. But, you're not going to win too many games scoring like about 9 points or 10 points a game. You're not going to beat nobody doing that. Our offense was hideous. Teams was playing bracket coverage on us every single game, man. It's just like, we was just used to just check downs and dump off passes and stuff like that. You're not going to win games like that. You got to have a vertical game. You got to go downfield. You got to run the ball. I mean, one of the key bright spots was, Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy last year. Those rookies really stepped up and, gave people something to watch and, gave us hope. But other than that, the coaching was poor. The quarterback play was poor last year and stuff like that. So it was just like a big snowball effect. And that's why in this offseason, hopefully it's a different outcome, like I said, going into this year, man. And, hey, we'll see if the Giants can turn around with what's going on. But like I said, last year was a nightmare, man. And I'm glad it's over with now. So hopefully we woke up from it and we just going to have a different outcome now. But I'll let Coach see what he saw last year.
All right. Sorry about that. Thanks a lot. Points scored, 31st. Points, yards, 30th. Pass yards, 28th. Pass touchdowns, 32nd. Pass interceptions, 21st. Rush yards, 23rd. Rush touchdowns, 20th. This is ineffective, inefficient, abysmal, undigestible offense. Then if you go to defensive rank, points scored, 21st. Total yards, 24th. Pass yards, 8th. Pass touchdowns, 9th. Pass interceptions, 31st. Rush yards, 27th. Touchdowns, 18th. The defense got tired, like Pat said earlier, because the offense was going 3 and outs consistently, was ineffective. The only thing you really had was Malik Neighbors and a little bit of Tyrone Tracy. And if you don't have the players, if you don't have the playmakers, if you don't have the leadership, your defense is going to wear down. You would say, oh, well, you had great pass yards and touchdowns. Well, that's because teams were just running on us because couldn't stop them in the run. There was no need to pass. There was no need to go for touchdowns because you would get them on the ground, or the offense would just give you the ball in good positions and the opposition did their dirt. But that's enough for me complaining. Going to turn it back over to NYG. You got it, bro. Take your lead.
All right. Let's take a look at the key losses. God knows they had enough losses last year, on the field at least. But off the field, I will say they ain't missing a whole lot. Azeez Ojulari, kind of talked about him in the Philadelphia Eagles episode. But, I mean, when you see who they bought in, I think they can handle that loss. Darren Waller is interesting, folks. Darren Waller comes out of retirement and then gets traded to the Dolphins. And the only reason I got this highlighted as kind of a key loss is because, one, it kind of is an indictment on your team. Like, the cat would rather retire than play for you. And the second part of it is it ain't like you're loaded at the tight end position. Theo Johnson coming off an injury. Daniel Bellinger has been underperforming. And you got Thomas Fadone, who you just drafted. Isaiah Simmons, Adoree Jackson, Jason Pinnock, the rest of these guys, to me. But y'all have at it. Who y'all got as the key loss for G-Man? Talk to me.
Key loss I got is Azeez Ojulari, man. When Azeez Ojulari was healthy, man, he was effective when it came to the pass rush. He was averaging like almost a sack a game. That does hurt your team tremendously when it comes to edge rush presence. A backup edge rusher that can average a sack a game, that means he's doing his job. It's just that he continued to get hurt, and that really hurt him. Pun intended, you know what I'm saying? So Azeez Ojulari is the biggest loss that the Giants had this past offseason. They didn't have many losses. You could say Jason Pinnock, a box safety. Darren Waller didn't even play for them last year, so I don't even really consider that a loss. Yeah, it's got to be Azeez Ojulari. That's the only guy that really makes sense on the list. So, Man Cave, what you think, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet. It ain't no losses. Everybody on there ain't no loss. When you had that many losses on the season, you lose guys like that. It's good to lose guys like that because that means you wasn't doing nothing right anyway in the first place. So I don't feel bad for any of those guys going to leaving or something like that. They didn't really mean nothing anyway. So to me, there ain't no key losses. The only thing that's messed up, they could have traded Azeez Ojulari for a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick. That's the only loss to me. So, but that's all I got. Coach, you got any key losses?
No key losses. Sorry. I'm with you, Cave. So that's all I can say.
So you mean to tell me this team went 3-14 and they ain't gonna miss nobody? Nobody. Let's get to the additions. Let's see what they bought in since they ain't lose nobody according to Cave and Coach. Oh, man. Love y'all, brothers. They did do a lot of shopping, though. Bringing in Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, mentioned that in the opener. Re-signed Darius Slayton. I think that's a key signing right there because he's going to be your de facto number 2 receiver. But it's on defense where the Giants needed to get better, according to John Mara. He might have been watching a different New York Giant team, but anyway, they did do what the owner asked them to do. I will say that. Had a pretty good offseason, signing Javon Holland, Paulson, Adebo, Chauncey Golden. Those are the main ones right there. Also Ledbetter, Roy Robertson Harris to add depth to the defensive line. Yeah. I get it, guys. They did bring in some cats. But we gotta see what these cats do out on the field, right? Right. But who do y'all have as the key addition for the Giants? I went with Paulson Adebo because he's probably going to be your number 1 cornerback. But ain't no probably, he is. So, got your number 1 corner. Way to go, Joe Shane. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's definitely, I believe, Paulson Adebo. If you could be that number 1 corner for this Giants team, you know what I'm saying, help out that vicious pass rush that we have, you know, with Thibodeau and Brian Burns and the guy we're going to talk about here in the future. Yeah, it's going to have to be Paulson Adebo, man. He's going to have to take up the slack that Deonte Banks couldn't take up last year playing all those number 1 receivers. And we play some pretty good receivers this year too. So Paulson Adebo is going to have to be that guy that has to be the key addition to this team, you know, because if that secondary could play up to par with that front edge rush, you know, we got a defense on our hands for sure. As bad as our offense is, our defense can bail us out if they're playing at a high level. And Paulson Adebo is going to have to be the key to that secondary. But Cave, who you got, brother?
Hey, I'm agreeing with you, man. I'm going with that back end, man. I'm going with Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland, the safety. So those are 2 key additions that we desperately needed, you know, since Jason Pinnock is gone. But to me, Javon Holland's an upgrade. And also Paulson Adebo coming over to become the CB1 and move Deonte Banks to CB2. That's another upgrade, you know. So those guys, like I said, like how Shane Bowen said, he wants some hunters out there. So hey, if the defensive front can do their job up front, which I know they will, which I think they will, hey, these guys could be out there getting a lot of turnovers and interceptions and things like that, and getting that ball back over to the offense and stuff like that. But yeah, those are the key additions for us, man, to help that defensive front. If you got some guys in the back that can play defense back there, you know, and give them some time to get up there to get that pass rush, that's what we need, man. And like I said, Javon Holland would be a great mentor for Tyler Nubin And also, Paulson Debo will be a great mentor for Deontay Banks. 2 things that we needed. So that helps right there. So those are my 2 key additions for the New York Giants. But Coach, who do you got?
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate you, man. Very simple, Russell Wilson. And it's not even for the production per se on the field. It's the leadership aspect. And I'm even going to go as far as complete leadership, because we as Giants fans have complained about leadership even coming from the head coaching position. This man knows what it takes to be a leader of men. He's done it time and time again. You can complain about, his height, his size, some mistakes he's made on the field. He's not as what he used to be. That's all true to a certain extent. But he's still a leader. He's a proven leader. And you're hearing it time and time again when people talk about him in the Giants locker room. You don't have guys worrying and talking about, oh, is he out here for this or for that? Is it about his wife? No. He's here. He's getting the guys together, and he's being a leader. And this is what this organization has been lacking during this past time under Brian Dable as the head coach. Russell Wilson is a leader of men. Over to you, NYG.
Russell Wilson is a leader of men, and he is the leader right now until this guy takes over, and that is Jackson Dart. As we getting into the draft picks, Jackson Dart, Giants made a trade up in the first round to draft Jackson Dart. Yeah, I messed y'all up. Y'all thought I was going to put Abdul Carter. Man, we already know what Abdul Carter going to do. The important draft pick is this guy. It's this guy, 150%. Because everybody's job's riding on Jackson Dart. If Jackson Dart is good, Brian Dable, Joe Shane, they're probably safe. If Jackson Dart stinks, everybody getting fired. So he is the most important piece. Looking at the rest of the draft, though, I gotta give my Giants credit with this one, man. This was a home run. Every single pick, damn near. Corey Black, not too familiar. We'll see. But Fadone, we talked to him at the Senior Bowl. Talked to Bo. Scatterbo was one of my top 5 fits for the Giants. Darius Alexander, another stud who we talked to at the draft. And enough said about Abdul Carter. And Jackson Dart, we just going to have to wait and see. Cross your fingers, Giants fans. Cross your fingers, Joe Shane and Brian Dable. Who y'all got, man? Who was your favorite pick out of the New York Giants? Jackson Dart's not my favorite. My favorite is Cam Scatterbo. But Jackson Dart is the most important. Take it away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Jackson Dart is the most important, but the most impactful to start is going to be Abdul Darth Carter. They're going to need him to be the most impactful out of this draft because you got Russell Wilson. So Jackson Dart has a chance to sit and learn. But as far as impact, it's going to be Abdul Carter. He's going to be that guy that can play over the middle, that can be that edge rusher coming off the edge. And he can just be the guy that you just have to focus on and be scared of this defense. And if he's playing at a high level, if Dex is playing at a high level, if Thibodeau and Burns are playing at a high level, this defense can make some noise, man. This defense can get after it. With Bobby O and McFadden behind those guys, and if Paulson Debo is a legit number 1, you got a defense that can compete with any team out there. Now, you got a defense that can compete with any team. That offense is another story. But, Cave, talk to him. Who's your favorite draft pick?
Yeah, my favorite draft pick, of course, is Abdul Carter, but I'm going to go with Darius Alexander, and 3rd round pick. Like I said, if he could turn out to be the guy that Dexter Lawrence finally have a mate, like he had with, what is his name? Larry. I'm like going blank right now, but if he could finally have a mate that could, play alongside him on that line to
Think
keep
about
that line
Leonard
intact.
Williams, man.
Leonard Williams, I know.
Yeah.
I like to say Larry something, but it's Leonard Williams. But yeah, if you get somebody like Leonard Williams, somebody that can stop the run, that's our most important thing. As I said, we got the pass rushers, but if we got somebody that can stop that run and put the Giants in a pass rusher situation, that'll be great and elite, man. And Darius Alexander, if he could develop some pass rushing, because I think got some pass rushing too. So now, I want to see that too, So then that's a guy that's going to get me excited and stuff like that. If he could come in and start and be alongside Dexter Lawrence. So, but I'm gonna turn over to the coach and see who's his most impactful player is. And there's that, talking to Darius Alexander.
And thanks, Cave. I'm with you, NYG, but not about Jackson Dart, about Cam Scappo. I've always said it. What helps the defense, what helps the offense is an effective and an efficient running game. And he's that type of running back. He can press the blocks when the offensive linemen are riding their blocks, and he can cut back off of that block right into the crease and explode right through that crease and get to the second and third level. Also, he will dip his shoulder into any defender. Doesn't care if you're 350 pounds, he's going to dip his shoulder into you and put you on your hind parts. He has the mental fortitude. He has the attitude. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can give you everything you're looking for in a running back. They can develop his blocking a little bit more. I think he can be that complete running back. And him and Tracy together can make this what we have always been used to. A run-centered offense, explosive plays down the field in the passing game, and keep the defense off the field to allow them to come out and be fresh and do what they need to do. That's who I think is the most impactful out of this rookie class, Cam Scappo. Back to you, NYG.
Yeah, I don't think you could really go wrong with any of the Giants draft picks, to be honest with you, man. This was a solid draft for Joe Shane and company. But is it a solid team? Is it a solid team? We got to break this thing down. We got to break down our New York Giants, y'all. Couple things make me nervous here. One of them is the D tackle position. I believe they got Nunez Roches. I'm mispronouncing that. Anyway, Nacho, as they call him, at the starting spot. Alexander is a rookie. You haven't seen much out of DJ Davidson or Jordan Riley. So, a little worried there. I'm a little worried in the interior as far as the linebackers are concerned. Bobby O coming off an injury. Michael McFadden don't tackle well. We talking about run defense, y'all. That's why I'm concerned about those two positions. Offensively, I don't know. They might be an Andrew Thomas injury away from another situation on the offensive line. Again, everybody has hopes for Theo Johnson, but they got to show it on the field. I feel comfortable with Russell Wilson now. Darius Slayton's going to do what Darius Slayton does, and Malik Nabers is just an animal. So I think they can do all right on offense. Defense, you're going to get the opportunity to rush the passer, but you got to earn that opportunity. And that's by stopping the run, and that's what worries me about this defense. But if they can do that, you are probably looking at a top 10 defense because it's not just the pass rushes. Remember, they got Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland on the back end. Your number two, you got a battle with Banks and Flott. So I do think one of them could shake out. Drew Phillips is good in the slot. My concern is the run defense, and it's that D tackle spot. and it's them 2 interior linebackers. My concern on offense is depth on the offensive line, and I don't know why Wanda Robinson is still on my team, but y'all take it away.
All right. Okay, talk about this
All
offense,
right.
man.
For the offense, well, I guess one of the main things for this season will be finally Mike Kafka will be calling the play, so that should be a good thing for Giants fans this season to see if we're gonna have this vertical game going forward this year, because the Giants haven't had a vertical game within the last couple of seasons. So we can see we got the horses for it. We got Malik Neighbors, you got Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyde. If you know what I'm saying, it depends on how he plays this season and how they call plays and stuff like that. Wandale Robinson got speed. We got speed on a receiver position, so that's not a problem. Our whole thing is the tight ends, with Kafka calling the plays, is Theo Johnson going to be involved? Daniel Bellinger going to be involved? We're going to get the tight end more involved. We want to see with this, they're going to open up this offense. If the playbook is going to be open, because the last couple of seasons, the playbook been closed. We need this playbook open. So to stretch out this, this offense to develop these guys, see what we got. But the main thing is going to be that offensive line. Can Evan Neal, can he win that starting position from Van Roten? Can he win that spot? And I think he should be able to win that spot. If he plays better as a guard than as a tackle, go ahead and get that spot. Because if he wins that spot, that solidifies our line with Illuminor, Neal, John Michael Schmitz, as well as Andrew Thomas and John Runyon Jr. But like I said, Andrew Thomas, we already know what Andrew Thomas is. You know what I'm saying? He's a stalwart. Like I said, if he just stay healthy, we good. We're not worried about Andrew Thomas. He's the least of our worries. Now, John Michael Schmitz on that offensive line, he got to come to play this season. I mean, his season, right, like I said, he's under pressure this season to see if he's going to perform with that offensive line, because he's very important with the offensive line in the center. If he can pass block and as well as be good in the run game, hey, we have a good season, man. You know what I'm saying? So everything starts from that offensive line. If they could protect and they could pass block and as well as run block, we should be good. We got the horses, we got Neighbors, we got Wandale Robinson, we got Slayton. And like I said, the running back, Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Cam Scatterbo. So, man, I'm excited about this offense going into the season, man. With Mike Kafka calling the plays. So that's a big thing for me. But, Pat, what you see on the defensive side?
Well, you're more excited about this offense than I am. But the thing I'm excited about with this team is the defense. The defense, man, we got some things going with, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Bobby Okereke coming off an injury. He's back healthy. Micah McFadden, even though he misses tackles, if he could just make tackles, he could be a pretty doggone good linebacker in this league. And that's a fact. So we got Paulson Adebo, Banks or Flott at the 2, Drew Phillips solid at the nickel, Javon Hollins at the safety with Tyler Nubin. Yeah. I think this defense could be legit. And the only thing I'm scared about this defense is stopping the run. Who's going to hold that edge? Because Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns, they are really not edge holders. So Chauncey Golston against those running teams, he's going to have to get a lot more clock. So who do you take off the field? I know there's a point in time that you're not going to want to take Abdul Carter off the field at all. So is Thibodeau going to get some snaps taken away from him a little bit? Or is Brian Burns going to get a couple of snaps taken? We'll see. And yes, the defensive tackle position is in flux. I do agree with NYG on that. Who's going to be at the defensive tackle? Because if you got Nunez Roches as your number 2, that means everybody behind them is not up to par, and that's the guy that you trust the most. I think he should be off the team, to be honest with you, because I think Ledbetter is better. I think Roy Robertson-Harris is better. I think Chauncey Golston is better. I like Elijah Chapman better. I like Elijah Garcia better. Riley Jordan and DJ Davidson, they can go too. And we got Darius Alexander. So, yeah, I like the way this defense is shaping out, and we can put that third safety in the box to help out with that run game a little bit. But, Coach, let's talk about the coaching, brother. What do you think about this coaching going forward?
All right, Pat. NYG, Man Cave, fans, very simple. I'm not even going to get into the other coordinators, position coaches, or anything. This is all about Brian Dable. Now, I've always been very critical of him after his first season because of the antics, how he handles things as the CEO of this organization. He's the face of this organization, hands down. You need to go out there and manage this team properly. You need to coach your coaches up and allow them to coach. You don't have to be calling the plays all the time. Allow Kafka to do that. If something goes wrong, let him fix it. You just manage, tell them what you're looking for, and move forward from there. Get on the same page with your quarterbacks. Let them know what your expectations are going forward. And the biggest thing, dealing with the media. Stop being so defensive. Because ultimately, what the media is, they're talking to us, the fans. They're an extension of us. And if you are agitated, defensive, that's what you're saying to us as the fans. And we don't want to hear that. So, Brian Dable, you've been here long enough. You're a veteran coach. You've coached under some elite coaches. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. You know how to coach. You come from a long line of coaches. Media relations is part of being a head coach in the NFL. Handle it better. And if everything falls on you, that's all I have to say from there. Over to you, MYG.
Yeah, it is on Dable, and he got his work cut out for him. Because when you look at this schedule, they have the number one strength of schedule in the NFL. That is not the end-all, be-all, folks. But you just look at the teams they playing. I mean, you tell me. 5.5. That's where they got the Giants at. 5.5. Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, the Chargers, New Orleans, Philly, Denver, Philly again, San Francisco. Woo! Chicago. I don't even know if you can breathe there. Green Bay, Detroit. No. New England, maybe. Bye week, Washington, Minnesota, Vegas, Dallas. Ouch. That's rough. 5.5, though. Can the Giants squeeze 6 wins out of this schedule? That's what they need to get the over. I'm skeptical, but I mean, they won 3 games last year. At some point, you gotta show something. 5.5, though. Can they get that? Talk to me.
Just looking at this schedule here, I'll tell you the only way they get to 5.5 is if this defense is balling. I will say that. So let's just say the defense is balling. I do believe you can get Washington once. I do believe you can get Dallas once, but I can't even give you that because you've been getting swept by Dallas for like the past, 4 or 5 years? So you can't say they can win against Dallas till they actually do it. That Kansas City game, if your defense is playing up to par and you're getting after Patrick Mahomes, that could be a surprise game for them. The Chargers, the same thing. If you stop their running game, I think you got a good chance of at least competing with the Chargers. The Saints, you can beat them. Philly, I think Philly stomps you twice. And Denver plays just like Philly, so I think you get stomped by them. San Francisco, I give you a chance. The Bears, I give you a chance. The Packers, I give you a chance. Detroit, I don't give you a chance against them because the way they run the ball. They get to the outside with the best of them. And if you can't hold the edge against Detroit, they're going to run up the score. New England, I'll give you a chance to beat them. And I give you a chance against Las Vegas. I also give you a chance against the Minnesota Vikings because if J.J. McCarthy is not what he's supposed to be, you can beat them too. I'm gonna go over just because I'm a Giants fan and I believe in this defense that much. I believe this defense could keep you in some games, and Russell Wilson being the quarterback that he is, if you have the chance to pull it out, more times than not, he does it. So maybe 6, 7, between that 6 to 8 range. But if 6 games gives you the over, I'll give you the over at 6.
What you got, Cave?
Yeah. I know Vegas is usually right. They were right last year, but this time they're going to be wrong this year. Giants getting over 5 wins. So I'm going with Pat. I'm going with 6, at least 6
over
wins.
5 over 5.5?
Over 5.5. They getting 6 wins, 6 or 7 wins. I look at some of them games. Yeah, I see some of them. It is a tough schedule. It is a tough gauntlet. But like I said, like Pat said, if that defense is balling, because a lot of games in the NFL is only one. I mean, lost by 1 score. Most of it is a 1-score game or sometimes a 2-score. Depends if you get mollywopped. But Giants was in a lot of games. Even when the Giants had some bad season, they was in a lot of games. They just lost by 1-score games. So if the offense can do anything, if the offense could just do anything, give us some points, we can win some of those games. Because the defense is solid enough to keep us in a lot of these games. You know, so that's what I'm going off of. So I'm good to go with the over 5.5. Coach, how do you feel?
Over, and everything. I got you guys in terms of the defense, but I'm more so about the offensive line. If this offensive line can allow us to run the football and protect Russell Wilson or whoever's at quarterback, it's going to go do wonders for this team. If the offensive line allows us to run, the defense can rest. I said it earlier. Russell Wilson, if you give him time, what's one of his greatest strengths? That deep ball to the outside. Well, you have some receivers who can get downfield and catch the ball on the outside. So if he's afforded the time to do that, then it opens up this whole offense, because teams are then going to have to play sometimes, if not more than enough, 2 safeties back, which will then take an extra player out of the box, which then allows you to run the game, run the football. And that also allows the defense to rest, because just like Pat said, if the defense can come out there and we can get good defensive tackle play and stop the rush, we have the pass rushers to get after the quarterback. So this works hand in hand on all phases. But it starts for me with the offensive line. The offensive line does their job, and God forbid we don't have any significant injuries. This can be a different team. So I'll go with the 6 games, 7 games pushing it, and the over. Back to you, NYG.
I wanted one of you guys to take the under, but I have to agree. Here's where it's at. New Orleans, Chicago, New England, Vegas. That's 4. You get 2 in your division. That's 6. It's going to be tough, though. Don't get it twisted. It's going to be tough, because the problem with the Giants is they're not built right for their division. And those teams are just going to run on you. And we all seem to be a bit concerned about this run defense. We all saying if they stop the run. I'm not saying it. I'm saying I don't think they are. Not consistently. But some of the teams with poor quarterback play, where you can kind of load the box a little bit, they'll get those teams, because the defense will be good. I just don't think it'll be that good against the run. I think they'll have a lot of high turnovers, high sacks, probably put the offense in some decent positions. Russell Wilson can make a couple of plays out there. We'll see. But I'm going to go with the over, and this is going to conclude our NFC East preview. Quick thoughts on the NFC East before we wrap up, fellas. I think it is Phillies, obviously, but I will say this. Now that I took a closer look at that Washington defense, I don't know now. I'm not even going to stamp them as the second, like they automatically going to be that second team to challenge Philadelphia. It's not guaranteed. This Giants team can get hot, the Cowboys can get hot, and you'll see Washington in the rear. It's not just said cut and dry like the media making out to be. That's my take on the NFC East. Because now that we looked at all the teams, I think Philly clearly
is
but
better
these
than
other
the rest.
three teams, it could go
It
either
could
way.
go either way.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you.
I ain't gonna
I'm
hold you.
telling you, the Giants.
Because
if they
Cowboys,
can stop
they
that-
ain't all that. Neither is Washington.
If they can stop that run, I
Right.
think they'll be a lot better than we're giving them credit for. But until they can do that, I can't, just be like, oh, the Giants are going to. No, you got to stop the run first because
I still think they
you
only
stop-
get 2 in the division. But
yeah, me too. But
better.
if they stop Washington's run, it could be a problem for Washington because I think our offense matches up pretty good against their defense. That's the key. Who can stop the run? That's the key with Washington. That's the key with Dallas too. Who can stop the run? Because the Eagles for damn sure could do it. And they can run the ball against. That's why I think they mow through the division, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe they lose one to Washington. Maybe. But go ahead, Kay.
I think our whole thing is the offense. I mean, like I said, the offense got to stay on the field. That's the whole key. You got to keep the defense fresh. If you keep the defense fresh, we're going to be in a lot of games. But if you can't keep them fresh, that's how we be falling behind these games, man. We got to stop that. They got to do something on the offensive side. Got to move that ball. Got to score some points. That's the whole key. Because our defense can play with any defense in NFL. Any defense in NFL, we can play with any of these other teams. It's just our offense. We got to score some points, move the ball on these teams, and stuff like that, man. That's all we got to do, man. So that's why I'm saying I'm more worried about the offensive side of the ball this year to see what they're going to do, how they're going to, with Mike Kafka calling the plays. And we need some vertical threats downfield.
What you got, Coach?
The Giants will end up in the 3rd spot.
I can see
Dallas. Everyone talks about Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Are you getting the Pickens who is temperamental, who has an attitude problem, who's disruptive?
It's going to be even worse over there.
That's the problem. That's going to be the whole thing because that's why I said what I said at first as far as a receiver. Because if George Pickens ran himself out of Pittsburgh playing for one of the top coaches in the league, and now you're going to a rookie coach, you don't think he's going to cause problems over there possibly? And if things don't go his way, he's going to be on the sideline sulking or whatever. So that's why I think Dallas might, more than likely, is going to end up in the 4th spot, and the Giants will end up in the 5th spot. Washington will be in the 2nd spot, yes. And Philly, they're probably going to, I said it earlier, is it possible they could go for the record? We'll see.
Yeah. But that is going to conclude our NFC East preview and our preview shows all together. We did it, y'all. All 32 teams.
Man,
that's what we do.
Crazy.
This is the Aboriginal Sports Network. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Catch us on social media platforms. We on TikTok, we on Instagram, we on Facebook, we on Twitter, we on everywhere. And we got a website, aboriginalsportsnetwork.com. But that being said, I'm going to get up on out of here. I'm Unpopular Opinion Sports with my co-host, Big Pat Sports Talk, Coach Ed Gladney, and the Man Cave, aka S God. We are part of the Aboriginal Sports Network. And until next time, man, we up out of here. Peace.